It sounded too good to be true. And she just like goes on and on about this friend, her boyfriend's best friend. He's getting signed to Universal. He's a rapper. He wants me to be on the album. She told her all these things about me. And I'm like, fuck, man, like that would be cool. Like I would be in LA. Like that's where I was going to go to the Musicians Institute. Like that was a part of my plan when I graduated high school. Like that sounds like a better idea than going into Job Corps, you know? And, it was a human trafficking situation.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Kind of art, but I blame myself more than you.
Okay, I'll let you do that.
We are at the very glamorous Crescent Hotel.
It's beautiful here.
With the really glamorous Keta Loren. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
And I know a bunch of things about you. I know that you chose your name.
I did choose my name. Yeah, my name was kind of like a tricky thing because I grew up in the foster care system and like, I don't know, I was kind of a troubled kid. Got like, there's a couple ways that can go, you know, either you can be like afraid and docile and like just try to get by, which one of my older sisters, she took that. She didn't want to get severe punishment, or she kind of became a people pleaser. So there's two ways: become a people pleaser or riot. And I was a rioter.
You weren't a riotous people pleaser?
I was a rioter. Yeah. So I was gonna tell people how I felt. Like things were really screwed up. So it was like I was the result of that, and I wasn't going to let it go unheard, you know, like there were problems that were happening. So I think I was a really angry kid just because of everything that happened. Got into a lot of trouble, but there was something about like my real name's Katie, and it had such a negative connotation to it. I just felt like anytime anybody said it, I was going to be in trouble. And so I was just like, I don't like that name. I'm going to change it.
When did you change it? And hold the mic closer.
I changed it. So I actually went through a few. I was at every foster home. I was a different version of myself. So I was like Kat. I was Kaden. I was Kay. I went through a gamut of different names, and then I settled on Keta, and I've been Keta since I was 18, I believe.
And you're an incredibly prolific person. You're a
you.
musician, you're an author, you're a podcaster, you're a fucking viral social media star. What am I missing? Author, musician, viral social media star.
Songwriter.
That can fit in
covers a musician.
Yeah, okay. What else
I think that's it. I've done some modeling.
Model.
But yeah, in my day. Try your hand at what you can, you know, and see what sticks. So.
And you grew up in foster living.
Yeah. I grew up in foster care actually until I was 14, and I ended up getting kicked out all the time for fighting or just whatever. I just seemed to be a round peg in a world full of square entrances. Like I just didn't fit, or I was the square, you know, in round holes, and I just didn't fit anywhere I went. And so I got into a lot of trouble for really minor things, but at the end of the day, I had like a lot of confinement time. So I ended up going to what's called the California Youth Authority. And they don't really exist anymore. They shut them down. So
people yammer YA all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm a YA baby, as they would say. And just raised in the school of hard knocks. Like they call it gladiator school for a reason, you know? So
when do you remember being angry at first?
It's such a mindfuck because I was so like sweet and naive and like really, really just wanted love. But at the same time, I wasn't gonna take any shit. So it was really young that I was like.
Yeah, what was the deal with your folks?
There was a lot of abuse in the home. Dad was a schizophrenic addict, and mom was an alcoholic, and just incredible poverty, just no support. My mom and dad met in a group home, So generational,
Yeah.
right? My dad actually was adopted, and his parents were pastors, and they kind of had to put him there for behavioral issues. And then my mom, she was kind of like abandoned, and the dad was an alcoholic, and the mom took off when she was 9, and just didn't have a fucking chance in the world herself. And so there's a lot of forgiveness that's come through older age and understanding and experience, you know, but
in recovery,
and like. Yeah, it's a sad picture. When you look back at it, though, and you're looking for connections, it makes perfect sense, like that it would happen that way. Like statistically, that's what would happen.
You know, we haven't had a lot of people who came up in foster situations on the show, and it just makes me think of how often it is a repeated thing, and how like alcoholism or drug addiction is often a repeated thing.
Yeah.
Explain, like, do you deal with any kids who are in foster now? Like, are you involved in helping?
I am actually.
So
yeah.
What's that like?
It's amazing.
And hold the mic closer. I'm gonna kill you.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to repeat that. I promise. It's just gonna slowly.
I'm just gonna go like this.
I like to start pushing it towards my face.
Okay.
So I have done a lot of mentoring in the past, or gone and spoke at different. Like I used to work with fostering a change for a while, and then they started embezzling money and they got shut down.
That's no
but
good.
There's another group that I work with through a church in San Pedro, and or it's called Harbor City Church, I believe, and they do camp once a year. And so that's my main thing right now, is being a camp counselor for foster youth.
And you can show up and be like, you can change your life.
Yeah, and it's really just about connection, dude. It's about, we had this one, and I won't share any names or anything, of course, because they're minors, but she was like trying me, you know what I mean? Like trying to like get little quips in or get little digs in, and you can tell, and I was the same exact way, and it's just like this mechanism to see how far they can push, to see if you're going to reject them. And I just remember she said something smart, and she was like, I don't know why I'm like that. I'm sorry. And I was like, there's nothing you can say that's going to change the way that I treat you. There's nothing that you can say or do that's going to change that. So don't worry. I'm thick-skinned. We can joke around. It's fine.
So you basically, as a kid, your parents were struggling. Mm-hmm. Everything was wrong. Yeah. Your dad's an addict and mentally ill. Your mom's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't take care of you, or does somebody intervene?
There was intervention. I would say that there was, like, they kind of kept a lid on it for a while, but my dad remarried, and he had, a partner, and they had more children together. And he was actually like doing really well at the time, and had, like, we were going to like Seventh-day Adventist church, and like he was also a musician, so he was writing a lot of like gospel music, Christian music, and like I remember like some of those being some of the best memories that I had as a kid, and I was about 7, and it was his Christmas to have us, and we kind of flopped back and forth between the two. Whoever was less fucked up at the time kind of got the kids, and that varied pretty quickly. Like I never finished 1 year of school at one school.
Because you're constantly going back.
We're going back and forth, yeah. But on Christmas of 1995, my dad's power got shut off for non-payment, like just normal struggles of growing up in poverty. And he left a candle burning while he went to the casino to go gamble and try to get the money to turn the lights back on, because of course, like, they've tacked on all these extra fees and late fees and all this stuff, and he left the candle burning, and it set the house on fire and killed 4 of my siblings.
Oh my God.
And he did not ever come back from that. So
what happened to him?
He is now, I have him out here. He's in an assisted living. He had a recent near-death experience from addiction, and have had him out here for a while, just trying to keep him stable and on medication so that he's not having schizophrenic delusions. And, so he's kind of like my kid at this point. But he just, I had a loss one of my best friends, actually, we were living in Mexico together, and this is in 2023, and my house got robbed. And so I had to come back, and we were living out there. I think I was out there for about 9 months. So, but I still had my place in the States, and my house got robbed. And so I came back to the United States, and then she went missing. And it took me about 7 hours to track down where she was and talk to the Airbnb host, and she had passed away. And everybody had passed away that was in the place. And I'd never felt grief like that before, and I'd always like kind of not blamed my dad, but was like, snap out of it. Like, you have to get over it. It's been 10 years. It's been 20 years. Like, your life goes on. You have to, you have to like figure it out. But then I experienced grief on a devastating level when that happened, to the point to where I was like a non-functional human being.
Who died?
My best friend.
Okay.
Yeah. That was living in, we were living in Mexico together. Her name's Steph. And, once I felt like the weight of grief and how heavy it could be, like it clicked in my head. I was like, I get it. I don't think I could be responsible for the death of 4 of my children and come back from it.
Well, did your dad ever find recovery?
He did for bouts.
Right.
You know, he just couldn't stayed.
I wonder, it's like the whole working a program, you deal with things in a real practice kind of measured way where you're trying to overcome these things like grief. And I think 4 children and you left the candle burning, it's a fucking horrible tragedy.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to comprehend. Something's going down in Beverly Hills.
Something's going down. It was also kind of confirmation. It was like, yeah, it is impossible to comprehend.
Right. That was God's siren.
Yep.
To let me know that I was right.
You were right. You're on the right trail.
Once in a while. Once in a while I get an affirmation.
Yeah.
But so that's hard fucking core. When's the first time you use?
I was 11. I had met a guy that was much older than me. I used to walk to school right before I went into the foster care system. And he was like, hey, do you want to try this? And it was meth, and it was a line. It was crank, actually.
And you hadn't smoked weed or had a drink or anything like that?
I think I had a drink. My mom had a lot of, she would make like blackberry wine that we would get into and try. And then I think when I was 9 one time,
how do you make blackberry wine?
You'd have to ask her.
You don't know how to make it?
But it was in pickle jars. And it would be these giant pickle jars of blackberry wine that she would make.
Blackberry wine. I'm not a drinker. I'm not even an alcoholic. I'm just a heroin addict. I say I'm an alcoholic many days a week.
Yeah, but in the rooms, yeah.
But blackberry wine sounds good. And it also sounds very like bohemian.
Yeah.
And it also sounds very poor.
It's very poor. Yeah, it's like moonshine. It's like you just make your own liquor because you can't afford to buy your own.
She's picking blackberries, though.
Yeah, there is a ton of blackberries in Northern California.
Smashed blackberries. Mm-hmm. She didn't stomp on the blackberries, though, like
I don't
grapes.
think so. No, but I do know we foraged for the blackberries, for sure. There was a lot of blackberry bushes in Northern California.
And where'd you grow up?
In Northern California, in a small town called Red Bluff.
Red Bluff. What's it near?
It's in between Redding and Chico on the 5.
Okay.
So Chico's on the 99, so it's like where the 99 and 5 cross.
Is that it's south of San Francisco?
It's north of San Francisco. It's north of Sacramento. It's about 2 hours from the Oregon border.
Cool.
Yeah. So not really. It's been like number 3 or 4 on the most dangerous place to live in California list for like
so it's not
20 years running.
But it's cool to live in Northern California.
It's beautiful. But like, I think it's cursed. It was built on like an Indian burial ground. It was like one of the last hanging counties in the United States where they still hung people and stuff. Like it's just got weird vibes. Like it's a town that you drive through and you blink and you miss it.
My wife is planning a trip for me and her and our 2 daughters in July. And we're flying to Portland, and then we're driving out to the coast, and we're driving down to San Francisco.
Okay, beautiful drive.
But we're going to get past this Red Bluff place. Do you think we should just keep driving?
You won't because it's inland.
It's too far in.
Yeah, if you're taking the 101 down.
She
So
plans
you'll
it out.
probably end up going through Crescent City. I recommend going to Glass Beach.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Glass Beach?
Yeah, it's on the
we
list.
used to go there as a kid. It's incredible.
So your mom is having you forage for the blackberries.
We all foraged for the blackberries. Yeah, and that was like, it was a cool childhood living, like, aside from some gnarly situations, like we were outside kids. So we were like catching crawdads with tongs and like catching snakes, red racers, and banana slugs.
Slow down.
Yeah.
How do you catch a crawdad? A crawdad, I believe, is a crayfish.
They're similar.
What's the difference between a crawdad?
They look exactly the same. I think they have a size difference.
Crawdads might be littler.
Or maybe it's location. Maybe they're the same animal and they call them different things based on where they're at.
Why tongs? Why not
because
a
they
hand,
have
a net?
pinchers.
So you have little like chopstick kind of dealy?
Like barbecue tongs.
So you're out there with barbecue tongs in the shallow water snipping for crawdads?
Yeah, we would catch the crawdads.
And what are the banana racers? What did you say?
There's red racers, which are little baby snakes.
Okay.
And then banana slugs, which are like
giant,
gnarly, giant, like spot. They look like a banana that's spotted. Spotted banana. Yeah.
So you had a nice little wildlife laden, poor, poverty-stricken childhood.
Yeah. Like we knew how to have fun. Like we created it for ourselves because there wasn't any, we weren't going shopping. We weren't going on trips. We weren't doing all the, you know what I mean? Like we had to figure out how to like make it work. Yeah. Yeah. Which involved a lot of imagination. It involved a lot of, imagination, which I think contributed to one, growing up that way. I knew that like, I couldn't do that for the rest of my life. Like I couldn't.
You're like, I gotta get the
fuck out of here. And I knew there were no opportunities for me there. And but the other thing is it made me really creative. And I spent so much time like writing and singing. And my sister's like an incredible artist, and both sides of my family are artists. My mom's like a painter, drawer, artist, and my dad's a musician. So
what did he play?
He plays everything. Yeah.
And what were you into? Like, what kind of music were you writing when you started? Did you do the line of crank first or start writing music first?
I started writing music first. Yeah, I started writing music. So my dad wrote music, and he would play coffee shops, and he would play at church. So my grandparents owned a church. So the first time I sang at church was like when I was 6, I think. And
what'd you sing?
I sang a song that my dad wrote. I think we sang like backup for him or something, these little voices. But we would sing old hymns. They were kind of like an old Southern Baptist type.
That's awesome.
Tap thing. I mean, a lot of fire and brimstone. You had the fear of God in you, But there was a lot of resentment for the grandparents because we were living kind of in squalor and they just didn't know what to do. When you look back at it, it's like, how do you interfere or how do you interject yourself and like try to make a difference? And I think they did, but they also couldn't look.
You were at your grandparents' house?
No, like we would go like once for a week in the summer and then for a few days around Christmas. Like,
and they lived pretty nicely.
They lived really nicely, yeah.
So that is easy to resent.
Yeah. It was very easy to resent. Like, why didn't somebody step in,
And when you're thinking about all this stuff, and I know you've probably told your story over and over, as we all kind of do at some point.
Yes.
But like something that I found in retelling my story over and over is like these moments. I keep telling the story and I'm like, wait a sec, that moment is very important in more ways than I realized. Like right. I find these moments where I had these deep shame moments or like or deep loneliness or deep anger or whatever. When you start retracing your history, like where do you think the anger popped up?
I had it so young. It was almost as if
it's deep baked in. It was
almost as if I was born with it because my soul knew the bullshit that I was about to go through.
Right.
And I used to make a joke. I was like, maybe God gave me all my struggle up front, so I could just like take it on the back end.
It's still coming.
And it's still
I know.
Coming. I went through
a
few nice years and then I got hit upside the head again. And I was like, oh no, that's just life. That's just the way that it goes. So, but yeah, like there's this contrast when it comes to the anger because my personality is like actually really like bubbly and light, and there's a sweetness to it, and that actually has been able to be highlighted by doing a lot of healing, a lot of shadow work, a lot of therapy, a lot of traversing the realms of trauma and digging things out by the root, because I had a hardness to me. There was definitely a protective shell to where there was no access to my own compassion or my ability to love without fear. So doing a lot of the hard work has allowed me to like find vulnerability and find it's so precious. It's so bare, but it's so precious. And I'm so grateful that it wasn't stolen from me, because I feel like it like that could have definitely been one of the outcomes if I let it be.
Well, it can get stolen from you, but as long as there's like a tiny piece left, like
that
the
spark
tiniest,
is all
the
it takes.
tiniest piece, and then it can bloom into something like huge. So you do crank with some dude. You're fucking 11.
11.
Why is he like? Why does he spot you at 11?
It was just he was. So we lived in the Cabernet Apartments. And there's another apartment complex called the Red Bluff Apartments across and up the street a little bit. And for some reason I knew him, and we all kind of knew each other's small town vibes. But I always acted older than I was. I was smoking cigarettes. I was running away. I was doing, the things that kids do when they're, when they have a reason to run away,
You were already relatively wild at 11.
Yeah, very.
And he spots it. How old is he?
I think he was probably, I want to say he was an adult.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I want to say he was an adult, but like a young adult.
Still.
Like maybe like 18
You're
or
11.
19. I was 11.
And
yeah.
your reaction
to
the crank.
I was just curious, and I was like, okay. I was always down. Like, I don't know why. I shouldn't have been. But they used to say, you think you're invincible. And I really, honestly, truly did. I was like, I'm not going to get kidnapped. I did end up getting kidnapped one time, but,
hold up. When did you get kidnapped?
I ran away from home, and I was walking the 99 to my friend. So there was this like poor white trash family that we were friends with. And, I'm talking like, it was like gnarly, like, circumstances, like one can of tuna and like the rest is mayo for the sandwiches, because that's all they could afford for like 8 kids, and they all got a sandwich, basically a mayonnaise sandwich with like a speck of tuna in it. Like, that's the type of poverty that we're talking about. And so I was running away because home life was not great, and I was walking down the road, and this guy pulled over and he offered me a ride, and I said yes. And I was a little bit like, we hitchhiked in those days, and so he ended up taking me to the house, getting out. He's like, you wait here. And I was like, okay. And I don't know why I listened to him. Maybe I was afraid. And he came back and he was like, they don't want you here, which is not like, shouldn't have happened, whatever. Like, that didn't seem right to me. But I was like, okay. And he gets back in the car and he doesn't tell me where we're going. And I'm like, you can just let me out here. That's fine. And he just keeps driving. And I was like, this is not going well. Alert. And like all of these thoughts were racing through my mind. So I jumped out of the vehicle while it was moving, and he chased me down and handcuffed me. And I don't know where he got handcuffs from, whatever the case is. I started screaming bloody murder.
How old were you?
I was 11.
11, same year.
Yeah.
First match and first kidnapping.
Yeah. And so all I knew was to scream.
Oh my God.
Like, I had like jumped into a ditch basically. So like we were on like the 99, which is, it's a highway, but it turns into, or a freeway, but it turns into like a highway in the small town. So it's just a 2-lane road. And so when I jumped out, it was like the highway, and then there's like a ditch, but the ditch was grassy. So I like tuck and roll, whatever.
You jumped out of the car.
I jumped out of the moving vehicle, and he chases me. Yeah. Wait.
Or no, he puts the handcuffs on you after you jump out of the car.
He put them after. Yeah.
He's like, this kid is squirmy. I got to get my cuffs.
It was ridiculous. And so I'm screaming, and like, luckily, thank God, there was 2 Mexican guys that were out, I think, working or something outside. And then there was a family that lived there. And like, most of these driveways are like half a mile long, like this is out in the middle of nowhere. This is in Gerber area, which is in between. So there's like Las Molinas, Gerber, Praberta, and then Red Bluff. And these towns have like a couple hundred people in them that live there. They're not like cities. They have like one gas station, maybe a stoplight, but mostly just stop signs. Like there isn't a lot of people out here, and just happened to jump out where there was somebody there. And so I'm screaming. I'm like, I don't know him. I don't know where he's taking me. And they were like, horrible. We're going to take her. And then he made up a story that he was going to take me to the police station, which I don't know if that's the case.
To help you?
Yeah.
I'm going to help this girl that I just abducted and take her to the police station. And that's what he says to the Mexican guys?
Yeah. And I was like, don't leave. Like, I don't know him. Like, he was supposed to give me a ride. Now I'm handcuffed. I'm like all dirty from like jumping out of a car. And they took me inside the house and they called the police. And they ended up letting him go. His story seemed to make sense enough to where they let him go.
And they say to you, like, don't hitchhike anymore, young lady, kind of thing?
Basically. Yeah.
Well, Dopey Nation, don't hitchhike, right?
Don't hitchhike.
Don't, especially in Northern California by Red Bluff, ghost town.
Well, yeah, that town, it's really a creepy place. They, like, harbor pedophiles.
How do they harbor pedophiles?
So the county gets paid to house them.
Right.
It's a poor county, and so
they're subsidized by
list. Yes.
Megan's list is very full. Full list in Red Bluff.
It's full, and it's like scary how many there are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It is horrible. But yeah, I don't think I've ever told that story on a podcast before.
Listen, I'm looking for all exclusive material.
All exclusive.
So fucking keep it coming.
Yeah, but that was like what... Like that was like a normal day for me, like running away from home and getting kidnapped. Like I was like, that was not something that like deterred me from doing that again. You know what I mean?
You were like, my life fucking sucks. Let's see what can happen.
Yeah. I was returning home was a worst case scenario situation. So, for me personally, home wasn't safe. And neither was the world. But it was if it was taking my chances out in the wild, then I was going to take my chances in the wild. Yeah.
It's very sad and crazy because I have 2 daughters, right?
Yeah.
I have a 7-year-old and I have a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
So like I hear your story from the lens of drug addict.
Yeah.
And podcast host.
Yeah.
But I wasn't looking at it like as though you're my kid in this situation because I have kids like that are that age, and it's like, you try to do your best to make sure that they want to be home. Yeah, and you try to do your best to keep them as safe as you can, and to prevent. I grew up in Manhattan, in a pretty safe situation. Yeah, but still, I wound up totally on drugs. Yeah. It happens to the best of us. When did you find, like, you falling in love with substances?
That didn't happen until a little bit later. I was kind of anti-substances, so I did them.
How old were you? I want to know. I also want to hear how you got into fucking quad racing.
Yeah, that was just something we did. You know what I mean? Like, that was just something that us rednecks did. Like, it was just a part of the culture. And so, whether it be a weekend or
were you fast?
Go mudding. Were you good? I was not great. I almost died. Yeah.
You weren't the champion quad racer that I was hoping you were?
No. Okay. No, and I actually, had gotten suspended from school for getting into a fight, which happened often. This was during a brief time where...
When did you start fighting? Were you a brawler?
I was a brawler.
Because you had 2 sisters.
I had 2 sisters that were brawlers.
So you were brawling and angry from before you can even remember.
Oh, yeah. It was dog eat dog for sure. And, we're not small. We're not small individuals. So
No,
like
very
we
tall.
did some damage. Yeah. So, and there's just something, I don't know if it's like some Viking, like, rage or something, but
Are
like
you Norwegian?
I'm Irish, German, Scandinavian, and Native American.
So you got a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I got a little mix, but there's something like that was passed down because my sisters can fight. Like I don't know, we were scrappers, but it was also the culture that we were raised in. Like there was kind of like this outlaw society, because there was just so many generations of like people and parents going to prison, then their sons would grow up and then they'd go into prison. It was like prison culture, but in a town.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
tell me more about outlaw society.
Just everybody kind of wanted to be, badasses. And whether that, it was like, there was a certain code that everybody lived by, and it was anti-authority, and it was drugs, and it was money, it was selling drugs, it was stealing cars, it was everything that you would think. Like everybody wanted to be Al Capone, everybody wanted to be a thug, everybody wanted that. It seemed very glamorous, and there was a certain like street cred that came with like being the worst, which would be the best.
Yeah, I've decided California is really bad.
It is.
Like way worse than New York.
Yeah.
Like everyone in California does home invasions and
Yeah.
fucking robs people at gunpoint.
Yeah.
It's crazy out here.
Yes,
Is
it
it
is.
the meth? Is it the heterosexual meth use?
Gotta be meth. Meth is definitely a huge contributor. Meth is like, we're known for our labs. Like we make it here.
Yeah.
They like had to outlaw Sudafed.
In New York, only gay people really do meth. But out
yeah,
here,
and it's hard to find, isn't it?
I did a bunch of meth here.
Okay.
I lived in LA for a bunch of years and
He
did some
traveled
meth.
to find the meths.
I wound up here on meth, but in New York, I never saw meth. And
New York is crack, isn't it?
Yeah, but like yes, there's crack, but there's not much crack around anymore.
Really?
But also I'm sober 10 years, so what do I know?
You're not looking for it. Yeah.
I'm not looking for it, but also when I was using, I only stumbled on crack once.
Okay.
But I also just basically traveled in deeply heroin benzo circles.
Okay.
So there was coke, but there wasn't a lot of crack. And your world, because I also heard a story about you that you wound up taking ecstasy from your dad at age 16.
It wasn't my dad. It was my dad's friend. So we had all gone. I was 16. He lived like in a shed in Paradise. So I was living in a foster home at the
Paradise?
time. Paradise is the town that burnt down in the campfire. Do you remember when the whole town burnt down?
No, but I love the name Paradise, California.
Yeah, it's above
especially
Chico.
as a criminal
Yeah.
haven.
Yeah.
Are there any movies about Paradise?
No, but there probably will be because the campfire was devastating and it like burned down the entire town in a night. And
When did that happen?
I want to say 5 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
Yeah, it happened about 5 years. It could have been 6. Was it pre-COVID? Wait a minute. I think it was pre-COVID. So, damn, it's been 7 years. Yeah.
The Paradise Fires.
Yeah.
So your dad is living in Paradise. You're
He
living
is.
in Red Bluff.
I'm living in Magalia. So my foster parents had a house in Magalia, which is right outside of Paradise. My dad usually lived in Chico. My mom lived in Red Bluff. So my dad was living in Paradise. He just randomly like found some back shed to rent from somebody, and it was cheap rent and he could do drugs basically. And so, but we would play music together and he would play piano and I would write songs, and like, it was like,
That's awesome.
He had, like a relationship with him, and he's never been like a parent, but he liked his kids, and he definitely, I think he harbors a lot of like guilt for not being able to be there in the way that he was, but he had a friend. I'm 16. Me and my first love had just broken up, and they're doing some cocaine, and I'm like, "What's that?" And he was like, "Give her some." He was like the cool dad, like wasn't a dad. Like he was like,
he was like the cool alcoholic, schizophrenic drug addict.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and so he was like, "You want some? You want to try it?" And I had never tried coke before. And I was like, yeah. I do a line, and somehow we end up at the grocery outlet, and I'm just like standing looking at this like wall of hair ties and like brushes and rubber bands and clips and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, this is kind of cool, actually, you know? And he ended up getting shitty drunk. We went fishing, and he ended up drinking too many 211s, which was his drink of choice. And
what's a 211?
A Steel Reserve. It's like the highest alcohol percentage you can get in a can.
Why is it 211?
It's just called
that's
that.
The brand
that's
of it.
It's like the nickname for it because it has 211 on the can, but it's Steel Reserve.
All right.
Yeah. So they're disgusting.
Do you like how much you're educating me?
Yeah,
Are you enjoying educating me?
I am. I'm an educator.
Yes, ma'am.
They're disgusting, and nobody drinks them unless like it's an alcoholic's drink of choice for sure. They're cheap. And they get you fucked up quick. Well, he had a couple too many, and he was like stumbling on the rocks because like out there you're fishing in the river and there's like rock beds and you're standing on the rocks fishing, and like he like face planted and had to be carried back to the truck. And I'm with his older friend. I'm 16. His friend is 35 or something, and he like drags him back to his house, and it's late, and he was like, I have some ecstasy if you want to try it. And I was like, all right, Coke was good. Might as well. Like, we're winning at this point. Like, 5 stars. It could be potentially good. And so
35-year-old man gives ecstasy to 16-year-old girl after father face plants alcoholically and is gone. What a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. So, but to me, I was just like really naive in the fact that I thought people were just like being cool.
Was he being cool though?
He was, but there's always going to be a creeper vibe if you're in that situation. Like he had like glass dildos that he showed me that like he had blown or something, which is totally inappropriate
so
to
you're
show us.
Tripping and he's like, check out these glass dildos.
Yeah, on
That's
ecstasy.
Crazy.
It's super creepy now that you think about it, you know, but I was like, that's cool. I'm going to write a rap song. And so like, I was like, not in that. It did not do that for me.
Did you rhyme anything with dildos?
I didn't. I don't remember what it was, but I was
there
like,
is no rhyme for
spitting.
dildo.
Dildo, hildo.
You can rhyme it with
Bilbro.
No, you can rhyme it with fucking Frodo's uncle Bilbo.
Bilbo.
You're not into Lord of the Rings rhymes?
I've seen it.
You're not into glass dildo
I can't
Lord of the Rings rhymes?
I can't remember like the premise. I can't remember how it goes. I watched it once. I remember it being good.
Listen, you do me a favor.
Schmeagol.
Next time you're sick,
okay,
you fucking take some time.
Okay.
And you spend some time in Middle Earth with the characters of Lord of the Rings. It's a fucking recovery addiction story.
Is it?
If it isn't really, but I've decided it is.
Oh, okay.
So I want you to
go. It's law.
I want you to go back and experience it, and then come back and tell me what you think.
Okay.
And is there a dildo rhyme you can think of off the top of your head?
Yeah, you could rhyme it with billboard. Like,
no, you can't.
You can actually. It's like a very Eminem thing to do.
How?
It's called a near rhyme. If you say it in a specific way, then it actually does rhyme.
Dildo and billboard.
Yeah.
You lose the board. You go Bilbo.
Billboard. What else? Hill though.
What's hill though?
I was standing on a hill though.
Okay, that works.
You gotta find it and then you fit it in. So
I support you.
And then I still grow.
There you go. And we all know. No, we'll know. I still flow.
I
off
still
the glass
flow.
dildo.
Yeah, off the glass dildo.
So you're tripping.
That's how I feel, bro.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
You're tripping. This fucking scumbag dude is feeding you ecstasy and showing you glass dildos, but nothing bad happens. You write a rap song.
Nothing bad happens.
So maybe he's not such a scumbag. Maybe he's just a lonely, weird, trippy dildo guy.
I feel like men do this thing where it's just they see what they can get away with.
That's true.
And then they try to see, they gauge it. You know what I mean?
I've got you rhyming off dildos.
See?
There you go.
See how far we'll take it.
Yeah.
But they'll do this thing where it's like, they'll try to expose you to it. And depending on your response is how weird they'll be. So if you just completely ignore it and they're like, shut down. Okay, I'm not going to be, that's going to be inappropriate or weird or whatever it is. And I feel like, I mean, it's not just men. I guess people do it, but sexually, I think men do it more. Yeah. So, but I was very
I think
uninterested
that's
in
a
anything.
keen observation.
Astute.
It's keen and astute. So you're like, when do you start falling in love with substances?
I started falling.
Did I lose anything from the ecstasy story?
No.
Did I miss any good
so
nuggets
that
there?
was kind of when I started like experimenting, because when I was with my boyfriend before that, he was my first love. Like, he wanted to try coke, and we were drinking a lot. I was in like a party town, college town, and we drank a lot. But because of my dad and parents and stuff, I wasn't gonna do drugs. And then I did, and so I was like, what else is out there? But I did a lot of ecstasy when I was like 16, 17.
Ecstasy is such a great drug when you take it.
Yeah.
Afterwards, it's not as good.
No, it's the worst come down. And like, I have bipolar disorder, so it'd be like weeks and weeks of depression. So I would just do more ecstasy. I didn't realize at that time that it was becoming a problem. Because
What did it look like, the ecstasy you were taking?
It was pill form.
Did it have little stamps on it?
Yeah.
What did it have? What kind of
Blue dolphin. I took all of them. Whatever ones I could get my little sandwich grabbers on. So there was like brown Mercedes. There was red dolphins.
Are your hands the sandwich grabbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever I could get my hands on. And
Brown
it would
Mercedes.
vary. But anything blue or yellow had meth in it, and those were the most fun.
Okay. I always liked my ecstasy Dopey.
Really?
That's part of the reason why the show is called Dopey.
With heroin in it?
Yeah.
The brown ones.
Where I lived, all the ecstasy I ever did was white. But
okay.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just, and the first ecstasy I remember doing was Playboy logo.
Okay.
And then I remember some Mercedes.
There were Mercedes, there were Pac-Mans, there were blue and yellow dolphins. Yeah, they had a bunch of different stamps, but I just remember the color meaning different things. But there were some good red ones too. I don't know. It was
What were the colors' meanings?
The blue and yellow ones usually had meth in them, so it was like a really up and
exciting one.
And it lasted. The roll lasted quite a while. So if you wanted to be up for a while and you got those ones, that was going to work out very well for you. Yeah. So, but it was like always just like a fun party euphoria thing, and everybody was doing it. And this was the era of like raves and like underground raves and just people partying in fields and getting fucked up. And then, I was on parole at the time because I had gotten out of the California Youth Authority.
How did you get into it again?
I just had a bunch of confinement time and they didn't have anywhere to put me.
That's so horrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. They ran out of foster homes because I kept getting kicked out, and they ran out of group homes. And they kind of just were like, I'm convinced they were doing cash for kids at the time. And a lot of judges got in trouble for this, where they would commit youth to institutions and they would get paid kickbacks because the state would have to pay, I think it's over $30,000 a year to keep a kid there, and the cost of living isn't that much for a kid, and so.
Any horrible gladiator school stories that you need to tell?
It wasn't
that bad.
It was, but it wasn't for me because
people knew not to fuck with you.
I got into a few fights and it was quickly realized that maybe that wasn't the best idea, I just was a thrasher. And so there were riots. There were some really intense situations where like a girl like stuck a hot curling iron inside of another girl.
Oh my God.
There was another one where somebody took a hot iron to the face, but for the most part, it wasn't like the guys. There wasn't like a lot of gang related stuff. Usually people were fighting over girlfriends or like disrespect or whatever the case was. I was pretty chill with everybody. I did get into a few fights in the beginning, and oh my gosh, Bianca Schlingoff. She was like a 400-pound fucking Bianca Schlingoff. I wonder if she's alive.
I'm sure she's listening. Died. Shout out to Bianca.
Shout out to Bianca.
That's my new band's name, by the way.
She weighed like 400 pounds, and I had gotten into a fight with her best friend the day before and like beat her ass pretty bad. And like, so we were at the gymnasium, like doing a stomp competition. We're like practicing, so we would have like little things like
dance offs and stomping.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, these two girls started getting into a fight, and the two girls that were fighting were kind of on the how do I say it?
You can just say it.
Yeah, just like mentally not all there side, you know? And so we're watching them fight, and it's like in slow motion. And we're like, oh, shit. And when there's a fight, they say everybody get down. Then you have to get on the ground just so that nothing more breaks out. And I was about to get down, and I just feel somebody grab me by my hair. And at that point, I caught it before I knew it was about to happen. At that point,
and I'm sorry, just your voice is so good when it's full.
Okay,
it's not me being a dick.
No. I'm not. Okay. I'm hard to offend. Yeah. So I kind of just like, if anybody puts their hands on me, I just kind of a switch flips, and there's somebody else that shows up. I don't know her. She is going to arrive, and then whatever happens. But I remember I just turned around and started fighting her, and then she fell on top of me. And this is a big bitch. She was big. And somehow I like flipped her off of me, and then I was getting sprayed in the face with pepper spray, and I got like tossed by a male staff like off of her, and I'm like sitting there, and he thought I was gonna get back up, and so he sprayed me again. I'm all, what the fuck? Like, I didn't even do anything. Let me stay down. I'm on the floor, you know. But my nickname was Superman after that for a while, because it was you
fought through it.
Well, she was a big girl. Yeah, so I'm a big girl tall wise. She was a big girl in all senses. So
people knew not to fuck with you after that.
Yeah, it was kind of like a
Bianca Schlinghoff.
Yeah, and I didn't really fuck with people anyways, you know? Like, I was pretty chill. Like, I had a mouth on me a little bit, but for the most part, like, I wasn't like getting into drama and the bullshit. So but there would be people who like didn't like you, and so if they found out you were going up for parole, they would try to fight you so that you would have a fight on your record before you went to the parole board. It was called smoking your date.
Right.
Yeah.
And they'd be smoking your date by getting you fucked without being able to get on parole, because then you'd have the strike against you.
Exactly. So you would keep your parole dates like really quiet. You wouldn't tell anybody you were going up to board.
Because people will come after you.
Yeah.
Horrible. So you get out of there.
I get out of there and go to a parole home in Redding. I was the only female minor CYA parolee in Northern California at that time. There was one other one, but she kept getting arrested. In Southern California, there were quite a few, but in my general area,
you were the only
I was the only one. And so they had to create places to put me. So they paid, that place got shut down. They paid a foster parent who used to have like 10 kids at their home. They had a 6,500 square foot house in Magilla. That's when my dad was living in Paradise. And they paid her $3,500 a month just for me, because that's how much you would get paid for 3 kids. So they're like, we have room for 3 kids, but if you can't place any more kids with us, we still need to get paid for 3 kids minimum, or we can't take her because we have to pay our mortgage. And so I kind of knew that they were dependent on getting paid for, you know, they didn't want to lose this sweet deal.
You knew you had some leverage.
I had some leverage, yeah. And like, I was a good kid, but I wouldn't come home. You know what I mean? Like, I was working, I finished school I finished 2 years of school in 1 year. Because the way they do credits in YA is super fucked up. So when I got out, I was behind a year. So I went on home study, did 2 years in 1 year, and then I was working as a CNA.
Do they drug test you in that period?
They did, but they didn't. Like, I don't know how many times I got in the parole officer's car and there was just like urine like all over not like in bags, in baggies, whatever. But like, I don't think she ever turned them in. I don't know how organized she was, but they would test like I very rarely got tested.
Were you using at that point?
I was using ecstasy quite a bit,
So
and I was using cocaine on occasion, but for the most part, just doing ecstasy. But
drinking weed,
drinking a lot, and I loved weed. Yeah.
So you're doing a bunch of stuff.
I was doing a bunch of stuff.
Just no meth and no heroin at the point.
No meth and no heroin, and I would judge you if you did at that point.
Well, more power to you.
Yeah. I'm like, you scallywags. I just felt like it was low class, which it is.
As opposed to ecstasy.
As opposed to ecstasy, yeah.
Yes.
And then, of course, as we do, I found myself in those rooms too. Like I had a roommate, so the foster parents, they were like, we're going to lose our license if they find out that this is happening. Like, I had an apartment in fucking Chico. Like, I was like renting a room from somewhere and still had the place in Magalia and pretended to live there. And they were like, she's never here. Like, if they come do a walkthrough, we have no clue where they are. So they slowly, without telling me, transitioned back into being a foster home. And I was working at the grocery outlet as a checker at the time. And I just remember like scanning something, and my boss comes up to me, like she's like visibly shaking, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, I'll take the next one. And I thought it was because they had alcohol and I was underage and I couldn't ring up alcohol. And then I look over towards the door, and my parole officer and her boss are standing there, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, please God, let me walk out the front door without them, like put handcuffs on me outside. Luckily they did. Like, they waited until I made it out. I was like, just let me walk to the car. You guys can cuff me. And they're like, okay. So I was like, why am I being arrested? They're like, you failed placement. And they didn't have any proof that I was doing anything illegal. But failing placement is a violation of parole.
So where do they take you?
I went for a 30-day TD. I went back to California Youth Authority. They did not revoke my parole. They put me on a 30-day temporary detention and asked that I go to rehab. So that was my first rehab that I went to. And I had a hard time conceiving that I had a problem. I was like, I'm a kid. Like, I'm just trying things out. And at the time, I believed that was true, And so...
It's an interesting question, though. Like somebody who becomes a drug addict before they're a drug addict, are they a drug addict?
Yeah, I don't think I was. And, it's just like, there were definitely things that intersected that I think contributed more to me falling into addiction, And so
you had every box checked.
Yeah, exactly.
There wasn't a box not checked
exactly
for you to be in addiction.
Right. And so I ended up doing a 30-day TD, and they put me in this rehab.
Wait, what's TD?
Temporary detention.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so they ended up letting me, they only had a rehab to put me at. Like, they really did not have any place to put me. But at this time, I'm turning 18. So once I was an adult, they would have more like options for me. But like, as a minor, they didn't really have any. And so I spent my 18th birthday on that temporary detention and got out and went to this rehab, which was for adults. So that's why they put me there. And I was there for 3 months, and I was about to graduate. And then two of the staff members were fucking. And they ended up in the back of a picture.
Each other.
Yeah. They ended up in the back of a picture that I took like on my last day, like at an AA meeting. And the person flipped out. The chick flipped out because she didn't want to lose her job.
They weren't fucking in the picture.
They weren't fucking in the picture, but they were fucking in real life. And they knew it, and they weren't allowed to. And so they were like, she didn't know what was caught in the picture. If it caught him kissing, or she wanted the camera from me. And I was like, no. I'm not giving you my camera. You can't have it. And so she got me kicked out. And so I just remember being like, fuck, I'm going to go back to California Youth Authority. Like, it was Christmas, and it took them a minute. I was like, okay, give me my debit card. Give me my, I had just gotten like one of the installments from my settlement from the ATV accident. So I had like $5,000 or something. And, they were holding my debit card and my medications and stuff. So I got that from them, and I like went and packed a bag, and they're like, oh wait, you're on parole. We have to call your parole officer. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll wait outside. You guys go do that. And fucking split. And I ran out into the middle of the street, and I just like had this truck was headed towards me. Before I went, this girl that was there, she wrote like 9 numbers on my arm in Sharpie, and she was just like, call all these numbers. Somebody will come and get you. And I was like, okay. And so I like ran out to the middle of the street.
How old are you?
18.
Right. So you have 18. Numbers on your arm.
Written on my arm.
Fucking, you're supposed to get locked up.
I have a bag. Yeah.
You have what kind of medication?
I was on Abilify, Adderall, and I think Zoloft at the time.
How bad was the ATV accident?
It was bad.
What happened?
Yeah.
I'm asking a lot of questions because I want to know.
You are. Yeah.
Is it too many questions for you?
No. Yeah. So the ATV accident, I was actually romping around. It was a new property. And have you heard of, you've seen Aaron Brockovich?
I have not, but I know all about it.
You know the movie? Yes. Okay, so the premise of the movie is it's a true story, and like people were getting sick from chromium and mercury and stuff being in the water. Well, that's a true story, and now they have to dig something called a perk test whenever they put a well on the land. And so they had dug a perk test, and it's like a hole that's like 4 by 6 and 2 feet deep, and they did not refill it. And so the field had grown up over it, so you couldn't see it, and we didn't survey the land at all. And I was out there ripping and roaring, going probably 50 miles an hour, no helmet, like wearing a tank top, and and I was in the hole before I realized it. And like everything that you learn says like detach from the vehicle, like try to jump off, but I was like in a vortex, and I rolled it, and it landed on top of me, and instantly went into shock. There was 2 construction workers that were working on another plot, and luckily they were on their lunch break, and they saw me crash and ran across, I want to say each plot was about 5 acres. And so like ran across the plots and like picked it up like it was like a toy truck and like threw it off of me. And it was a ranch quad. It wasn't like a race quad. It was like bigger. Yeah, it was heavier, a lot heavier.
And were these gentlemen freakishly strong, or was it the adrenaline to save
100% because he was actually quite short. Yeah, I think he was maybe 5'6". He was stacked. He was a construction worker. Like he didn't look weak by any means, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been able to lift that weight.
But he got adrenaline, and they saved you.
Yeah, they saved my life. They called 911. I just remember people all around me screaming, and they're like, "She's going into shock. Get a blanket." We called 911. Then the EMTs show up, and then they're like, "We got a life flighter to Mercy." And so the helicopter shows up. God. They put me on the helicopter because my town didn't have an ICU. And I was like bad. Like my entire face was ripped off.
No way.
I had a hematoma the size of a baseball on the back of my head. They had to shave the back of my head. My right leg was completely crushed. I had a full reconstruction of my right leg. I broke my arm in 3 places, the radius twice and the ulna once. I had broken fingers. I had broken ribs, broken collarbone. I was broken hip, femur, knee. Ankle was, they said deformed in the paperwork, like noticeably deformed, like it was crushed. So it's so funny because I am wearing these shoes, and this part right here like irritates my screws, and I didn't realize that until I was walking, but I have like a bunch of screws on my
screw irritant right shoes. Yeah, you can't wear those again. I
was like, shit, it's rubbing on my screw, and like that's something most people don't have the experience of.
So how long were you laid up?
A while. I was in surgery for 6 hours, and I was in the hospital for a few weeks. Like my lip was ripped all the way down to here.
Oh my God.
It was like almost detached. This scar here is from a rock or whatever going through. And then I ripped my nose off of my face. You can see my scar right here.
Yeah.
And my face was completely road rash. My body was road rashed. I was fucked up.
You were fucked up.
Like I remember they're like pushing me in off the helipad into the hospital. And I look at the doctor or whoever had run out there. And I was like, am I going to die? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Well, it's really interesting also because your story is robust, we'll say.
Yeah.
You're probably out of action for a year. And for most people, like that would be the defining moment of their life. And for you, it's like, yeah, I got into this ATV accident. Then I'm leaving, I'm running out. You know what I'm saying? It's like a blip
Yeah.
in your story. So back to the street with the numbers on your arms and you're fleeing.
Yeah. So I'm fleeing, and
don't you think that's
just,
crazy
like,
though, that this crazy accident is
Yeah.
just a blip compared to everything
No,
else?
trust me. When I think about my life, I'm like, God, can we have an episode where it's not like a
Crazy
movie?
town, right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like, does everything have to have a cliffhanger and a season finale? Like, no. The answer is no. Like, continuously, there is some dramatic flair that's like a script that's written. Like, it's like, this can't be real fucking life. And it is every single time. It's my life. And
that's
like,
that's why you were such a coveted guest. That's why it happened.
I just get like, I'm like, are things, my hope and prayer for my life is just calm, peace, tranquility, and boringness. You know
can
what I
get
mean?
that.
I can get segments of it, and then some wild shit's gonna happen. And I've just come to understand that is just what happens in my life, and like being able to walk through it with grace now instead of like reacting in a negative way to it has been the gift that age has given me and wisdom has given me, you know, experience has given me. But I run out into the middle of the street and I just go like this to this truck, and the truck just stops, and I run up to the window. I've got a bag, and like, I'm like, you're taking me to the casino. And he was like, okay. And I get in this man's truck, and he drives me to the casino. Like, I obviously looked like alarmed or something, like I needed help. And he took me, and I got there, and I called all the numbers on my arm. And there was a guy that had come and visited her that I had met, and he remembered who I was. And he drove an hour to come and get me and drive me to Red Bluff, to my hometown. And I was on the run for like, I want to say 3 or 4 months or something before I got picked up again. I was on my way out of California. We were going to move with my dad. I had sold some of the payments, because you could do that, like J.G. Wentworth.
Right.
877 cash now.
Yes.
Which they rob you blind completely. But I needed money and I didn't have anything else. And so I sold some of the payments, and we were on our way out of town and got pulled over for a broken taillight in my actual hometown. And I had just taken a Klonopin, I remember. And
yeah, what drugs are you taking during that time?
oh, I just started doing meth. Meth had kind of taken over at that point.
When you flee?
Yeah.
From that, in that 3-month fleeing period, you're smoking a lot of meth?
Right. And I never had before. So I met the people that introduced me to drugs in rehab. I had never done meth other than crank that one time when I was 11.
Who were you hanging out with during that period?
There was a woman named Dina who was my roommate in rehab, and she ended up graduating, and I was like staying with her, and she was a heroin addict. And so I liked meth. Her husband liked crack. She liked heroin. And so I would stay with her off and on, or I would stay with friends in Red Bluff, and everybody in Red Bluff did meth. So I was 18 and I was hot, and I would just like get away with like being anywhere. People would let you stay. You know
that's
what
why
I mean?
the truck probably stopped too.
Yeah.
You're like, stop. And
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, I was like, please. But yeah, that there was never a lack of like contribution. Like, I didn't even need money, you know what I mean? So I just needed to be there, and
because they wanted you around.
they wanted me around. Yeah. So, which I came to understand was like a valuable, like,
Asset.
it was an asset. It was exploitable. And so
Does that change the way you operate in the world?
it does and it doesn't. So I understood that there was like a defining moment, because I think I thought I was like an ugly duckling. My sisters were stunning, stunning girls, and I felt like I was kind of the ugly duckling of them. Like, that wasn't something that I was known for. And then I kind of blossomed into my own. And I just remember being 16, walking down the street, and like somebody honking at me for the first time and like yelling out the car window. And I was like, oh, I must be pretty or something, you know, like I started getting a lot of attention, a lot. And it would be kind of alarming in a way, because it was confusing to me.
It sounds very confusing.
It was very confusing. And so
I mean, I got a lot of attention too, but I just took it. I took it in my stride.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I didn't really get any attention.
Well, I'm tall as well, so
Yeah.
and I have unique features, I'll say that. And so I seem to kind of stick out in places where I was. And
It's got to be so confusing to be a young woman and be like coveted in that way.
Yeah.
Because there's power and there's status, but then is it me or is it how I look?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the difference between the inside and the outside?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because a lot of the times it is just because of the way that you look. You're like, there's so much more.
But that's still you.
It's still me. Yeah. You find a balance with it.
It's tricky.
But it's also exploitable by other people. And so I think that was where it was really dangerous was when, I had gotten out. I ended up getting arrested and did 9 months that time. And
When they picked you up.
Mm-hmm. And
Still youth authority or was it real?
Youth authority?
Okay.
Yeah, they put me in juvenile hall for the night because I was I was still a juvenile case. I was 18, and then they transported me back to the California Youth Authority, and they gave me a 9-month violation. And at the end of it, they had passed SB 81, which meant that all nonviolent offenders went back to their county of jurisdiction, and it was really just a loophole way of not having to give resources to all the kids that were coming out of the fucking system. And so they gave me 2 weeks in the Crystal Motel and were like, hats off to you. Figure it out.
Wait, what's the Crystal Motel?
It was just like the shittiest motel you can
Where everybody does
possibly
Crystal.
And honestly, yes.
Was it called the Crystal Motel?
It was called the Crystal Motel.
And ironically, everybody did Crystal?
Yes, unironically, yeah.
Unironically.
And and so, I mean, I didn't have any family. I had nothing. No one didn't know how to live a life, like barely had any experience outside. By the time I gotten out, I had spent 20% of my life incarcerated. So, and the other 20% in foster homes and group homes. So I was institutionalized 1000%, had no resources, no support system, no one to advocate for me. And, I was actually going to go. I started selling meth for a while. It didn't work out well for me. I kept getting robbed. That was unfortunate. I didn't die, which I should have almost died.
That was fortunate.
Yeah. I was in scenarios where people who are now in prison for torturing and leaving someone naked tied to a fucking tree.
Yeah.
Tried to rob me and I somehow
Survived.
Walked out unscathed. Yeah.
How much of the, there's so much demonic
That's
stuff
so demonic, dude.
attached to meth and crazy sex, crazy demonology. Mm-hmm. Tweakerdom is not
it's
an easy
gnarly.
walk.
No.
So were you exposed to any of this crazy demon type shit?
Yeah, you could see it in their eyes. You could see the switch flip.
But you didn't feel it in yourself.
I felt... I've always called addiction like a possession, in a way, but I always had a relationship with God and to God. So I could see the evil around me, but I wasn't succumbing to it.
So you didn't find yourself in throes of demon meth use?
Yes, but I wasn't the one, it was with the people that I was dealing with, that they were possessed and evil. Fucking evil. And this one is not exclusive, unfortunately. I told it on Hopeaholics podcast, but I was selling meth and I ended up at this house.
Are you digging in your brain for exclusive content for me?
I am. I'm trying to pull it out. But this is just one of those things. And they brought a girl. They were going to try to rob me. It was a setup. And they brought this chick and she was big, but I had 2 knives, one on each leg. And definitely was.
Where were the knives? And you're under your pants or over your pants?
On me.
So you feel like a superhero. You're have knives on the outside.
Yes, I was paranoid. You know what I mean? Which meth does, but it also was not for no reason.
Dude, you're selling at that point?
I'm selling.
Yeah, why not have 2 nuns?
Yeah, like it was very much a protective mechanism because I had been in situations before where things tried to get hairy and at least I could defend myself. And so if not just for somebody to like see it and be like, oh, she's not unprotected, you know? And they had brought this chick and they were going to have her beat me up basically. And then she backed out and she was like, nah,
I don't think I'm going to deal with this one.
I'm not going to do this. And then like all these dudes kept showing up and, I was like, something is going to, like my spidey senses just started going off. And I was like packing up, trying to leave. And then this dude comes up and just boom, just clocks me in my jaw. And I like, luckily had the knife in my hand and I like did a full 360 and fell back on this futon. And I just was like slicing. And he backed up and like there's all these faces that came to the door and they were all like watching it happen. And I was like, back the fuck up. Like, don't fucking come near me. I'll fucking kill you, whatever. And so he backs up and there was this guy, Bullet. And in my book, his name's Trigger, but his real name was Bullet. And he was fucking insane. I'm pretty sure he's in prison right now. Like, there's that, like, him and another person tied a girl, like, took a girl out to the orchards, lots of orchards out there, raped her. And tied her naked to a tree and left her there. And that's what he went to prison for.
But she lived.
She did live.
That's good.
Is it?
Yeah.
When you survive something like that and have to live with it?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
But I think there's a chance that she can help
overcome
somebody.
it.
She could overcome it.
It sucks to have to like be that traumatized by something. And like he had...
Dude, you were traumatized by 6 million things and here we are in this posh hotel underneath a painting of David Bowie reflecting on the past.
Yes, this is us. This is real life. Yes. Yeah, I just don't wish that type of resilience on anybody.
No, I understand. I understand.
And so he was like, no, you're not walking out of here. Give me your shit. And I was like, you're not taking anything from me.
He wanted the meth.
He wanted the meth and the money. And it was at my ex-boyfriend's brother's house.
This is Bullet.
Yeah.
This is rapist, fucking prisoner Bullet.
Yeah. Like,
scary
he's
dude.
fucking gnarly. Yeah. Like, don't know where I got the cojones, but I was like, you're not taking anything from me. And, like, he acted like he was going to throw the knife at me. And I just remember saying, like, that's probably not your weapon list if you do that. And, like, I remember having tears in my eyes, but there was also just, like, this primordial
fury.
Rage. Like there was this, oh, I'm capable of murder. I am. Like if you're going to back me into a corner, there's something that is so deeply woven into the fabric of your humanness and survival that like emerges from you when you're in a situation like that. It's completely bizarre. But Clint, which I dated his brother Cliff for a while, he ended up getting in between us because he knew something was gonna, like somebody was gonna die in his living room and he wasn't really willing to like let it go down. They thought it was gonna be easier than it was and it turned into something not easy very quickly. And he was like, she's walking out with everything, everybody back the fuck up. And
he stepped in and advocated for you.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So you're living a pretty dark and terrifying life.
Yes.
And you're not a particularly talented drug dealer.
No, terrible. I always call myself Phony Montana.
That's good. I like that.
It's pretty good.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, because first of all, I did too many drugs to be selling them. And just, people kept trying to rob me and it was really inconvenient and not fun.
No, it's no fun.
And so I was like, I can't do this. And so I was going to go to Job Corps, actually. I was like, I want to clean my life up. I'm quitting this.
So that might be a seed of change.
Yeah, that was my intention. I was like, I can't live this way. Like,
so how old are
something's
you
got to change. I was 18 still.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I was just about to turn 19 or something. And the same time, I get a message from an old friend on MySpace. And she is asking me, apologizing, because the last time I saw her, we got into a physical altercation over jealousy, something that she thought that wasn't even real. And she was like, I'm so sorry. And A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just going into the gamut of these things. She was like, I told you if I ever had an opportunity for music that I would tell you and that I would help you in any way that I could. And I'm like, first of all, I don't trust you, bitch. And second of all, wait, what do you mean? You know? Because it sounded like I needed something different.
And it also sounded too good to be true. It
sounded too good to be true. And she just like goes on and on about this friend, her boyfriend's best friend. He's getting signed to Universal. He's a rapper. He wants me to be on the album. She told her all these things about me. And I'm like, fuck, man, like that would be cool. Like I would be in LA. Like that's where I was going to go to the Musicians Institute. Like that was a part of my plan when I graduated high school. Like that sounds like a better idea than going into Job Corps, you know? And, it was a human trafficking situation.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I just remember feeling so fucking helpless.
Tell me, what was the situation?
Well, she had a pimp and she was trafficking girls for him, basically. So she was getting girls that she thought, I mean, I was the most vulnerable person, and you know what I mean? Like there was no one would come looking for me.
Right. And she wanted her little revenge because you fucked her up.
I have actually never even thought about it that way, but probably, you know, and I had no way out once I was there. And the psychology of it is very interesting. Your mind will try to protect you. It will create
a story.
Scenarios, yes. It will create a story so that it can protect you because your mind is incredibly fragile. And if you don't create that story, like you'll have a mental break, you know? But my options were to be in this situation or physically fight to leave and be on the street alone in Los Angeles with no money and nothing. So my options were shit and shittier, and I didn't have the wherewithal to understand. It was like an autopilot. Like, what's the safest that I can feel right now? This one has a roof at least. This one has somebody I know at least, even though I felt betrayed, which, you know, she has reached out to me since on Facebook a couple years back, and I just deleted her message because I just...
So what happened when you get trafficked? Like, what do they do? Where do you go? What happens?
You're living in hotels and stuff, and yeah, the details are fuzzy, to be honest. It wasn't.
You're using?
I was using.
And they forced you to do sex work.
Yes. Yeah. And so
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Because I do not want to exploit you in the slightest.
No.
So I want you to only say anything you feel comfortable saying.
And I wrote a book about it, and I
is that
speak
Gutter
about
Kids?
it. Yeah. It's called Gutter Kids.
Read Gutter Kids.
Yeah.
Buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, it's something that I have such a cathartic response to. Like, I could write about it. I've spoken about it before and I've told the story, but it's something that like my lips don't even want to form the words.
And you don't have to.
No, thank you.
You really don't have to.
It's so weird, and like it doesn't matter how much therapy I've done. It doesn't matter how much I think I've healed from it. It was so incredibly traumatizing for me that I don't know that I'll ever be over it or fully heal from that. And I did everything in my power to maneuver and escape. And so I think there's a real thing where there's this battle where you think like, well, she had a choice. And it's like, no, I didn't, you know?
It's weird. I've been in Los Angeles since Wednesday, and I've been doing a lot of interviews. And I did an interview with this woman who was a sex worker who became a madam, but she wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I interviewed this other woman who was a horrible drug addict, and she got into sex work, and she did it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it wasn't, I don't think she told her story as though she wanted to do it.
Right.
But it wasn't, I was trafficked. It was like I was a hustler.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a different story.
It's a different story. And I think those stories can be confused and convoluted, and that's okay. And I don't judge anybody for making the decision to do sex work. It's survival for most people that make that decision. I was forced into it, and my choice was stolen from me. And so even everything in the way that it all unfolded was very much entrapment and did not allow for me to find it an exit route, like an easy escape route. And my brain, like, and I talk about this in the book, was like the way that I could like conceive it was like, oh, well, she took something from me, so I'm going to take something from her, which was the guy, and make it to where she wasn't around anymore. I was going to steal her reality since she stole mine. And like, that's what my 18-year-old brain could conceive to do at the time, to get like some sort of revenge. And then I realized like partway through, I'm like, okay, wait, I have more control than I think I do.
You have some control.
I have some control.
How are you going to steal her reality, though?
I was going to make him fall in love with me. And then
she was going to get kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did. But then it was kind of like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
all of a sudden you're there.
Yeah. And you spend all day, every day together. And he's a personable, charming person. Like, it's not like, you know, it doesn't work if you're not. You know, you have to be very convincing.
Hold on.
And
hold on for a second. All right. So I had to change batteries, and you had just manipulatively gotten this dude to fall in love with you so that this woman would suffer at your hands all the while you're totally suffering.
Yeah, and I knew she was like shooting meth and stuff, so I didn't think it would be.
And you fall in love with the dude.
You know, it's hard to. Did I? Was it? There's a part in the book where I'm completely strung out on meth, and I knew that was my coping mechanism. Like, it was the only way that I could deal with my reality. And I wanted to die. And he actually like fought for me and was like, no, you just got to quit this shit. And like
the dude,
the
trafficker.
Yeah. He genuinely fell in love with me. And I remember sitting on the bathroom floor thinking, is this what it's like for someone to fight for you? Because I had never felt that before. And I was feeling it from this piece of shit human being that would do something like that to me. And that was the first time I had ever experienced anybody fighting for me. So it was just such a, I don't know the word.
It's like a backwards, confusing thing. Where
it was so confusing.
The thing you had always wanted is happening in the worst situation that it could have happened.
You know? And so I think that in that moment, there did form some sort of like weird Stockholmy bond with him. And it made it harder to leave, but it was always on my mind. And it was always the escape route. What did I have to do? And like at that point, I knew that he was in love with me, like desperately in love with me, because I was a fucking disaster. And like, I wasn't even working. Like I would like refuse, like, you know what I mean? Like there was no reason for him to be there anymore other than that. And I realized I had more control than I thought I had in that moment. And I ended up quitting doing meth. And
how did you stop doing meth?
I just stopped.
because you knew this thing had gone too far.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And the other woman is shooting it up, and the dude is like trying.
She's in jail at this point.
Okay. And so you had won that battle.
I had won that battle, and it was like a be careful what you wish for, you just might get it situation.
You have him all to yourself.
Yeah. And I didn't want him. And so I didn't want this life. And I was like scratching and clawing at how to get out of it. And like, I knew for one, doing meth was like only contributing to more of the problems, and I was bad. And so I quit, and like for months felt like I had concrete bricks attached to my feet. Like I was so tired. I was exhausted. I could barely get myself up and get out of bed. But I did. And this is where God intervenes. And because I don't have I'm not 21 yet. Like I can't dance, which was my like exit plan, was to like go be a stripper. And so
you can't dance because you're too young. You weren't a bad dancer. You could dance, but you were young.
I bought a pole and taught myself how to dance. And then like on breaks, I would have strippers show me moves and stuff. Like when it was slow in the club, like I had them teach me.
And that was your fucking aspiration to get out of this thing.
It was, my aspiration was always to work in the music industry, but I needed some way to pay for my life. And that seemed like much less like it just, I never had a problem with dancing. Like it was a fun job. It was a cool time. I worked at topless bars. You had your clothes on 100% of the time, really. You know what I mean? I barely took my top off on stage. So it was definitely a bridge to the other side for me. But my dad was like homeless, living with my sister. He got kicked out, and he calls me and he's like, hey, I don't have anywhere to go. I need someplace to go. And I was like, all right, well, you can come stay with me for like 30 days, and you got to get on your feet and like fucking figure out what you're doing. And so he comes and visits, takes a Greyhound bus, comes and lives with me. And he steals from me. So I kick him out.
What did he take? Money?
Yeah, he took money from me.
And you'd gotten away from dude though.
Yeah, no. He was still there.
Okay.
He was still there. And but I swear it was because I helped my dad, and because of this situation. We were walking down the street, and this guy had a camera, and I almost kind of yelled at him because I forgot to put change in the meter. And you know how the parking enforcement is around here, man. You fucking 3 seconds late and you're getting a $70 ticket. So I like run back on Hollywood Boulevard back to my car, and there's this guy with his camcorder, and he like pulls me. I'm like, that's weird. And he pulls me to the side. He's like, hey, we're shooting a commercial down the street. We're doing some street casting. We would love to take a quick video of you and just say your name into the camera, say your phone number. And if the director likes you, we'll call you in a few hours and you can come down to set. Pays $200. That's SAG-AFTRA, whatever base pay. But if you get in the commercial, then it could work out really well for you. And I was like, okay, yeah, hell yeah, sure. So I say my name like with a bunch of personality and pizzazz, and got a call from them 2 hours later, and went down to the set, and they loved me. And like they had me doing a bunch of like different accents, saying Yahoo, like it was a Yahoo commercial, like Yahoo y'all, like just doing like, they had me sing it like Mariah Carey, like they were just like giving them a bunch of sound bites and stuff. And I just didn't think anything of it for another month. And then I got this paperwork in the mail from Ogilvy and Mather, which is a huge talent agency. And I remember signing it and sending it back. I wasn't sure what it meant, but I thought it was just like, so I could get my $200, you know? And I'm at Planet Fitness, 24-hour fitness. I'm on the treadmill, and then I see my face on the television. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, I guess I did make it into the commercial. I had no fucking clue. Nobody was communicating to me.
And you had stopped doing meth at that point.
Yeah, I was sober. Yeah. I would drink every once in a while, you know what I mean? But for the most part, like I wasn't doing any hard drugs. And I remember he woke me up and was like, Keta. And I like opened my eyes. I was like, what? Because I did not want to be woken up. And he was like, look. And he like tosses this envelope to me, and there's 7 checks, and they're all for over $1,000.
Wow.
And there was about $14,000 the first time, and we continued to get those checks for about a year and a half.
Wow.
From this one commercial, because it was a global campaign.
Amazing.
And I was like, this is my way out. This is it. And like, I taught myself how to dance, and I went to school, and I went to the Musicians Institute, and that's where I met an A&R from Interscope that I started working with really closely, and got a lot of opportunities. I was a demo singer for Shakira and Christina Aguilera and Kelly Clarkson, and, you know, songs that were being pitched to Beyonce. And like, I mean, we were in it. It was a incredible part of my life.
Were you still with this guy?
This guy was still around. Yeah. There was a lot of me wanting him to not be there anymore. There was also...
Did he do trafficking with other people?
No.
So it was over
he was
for
completely,
him?
Yeah.
And he was using or not using?
No, he never used.
Okay.
Yeah. And so...
So your music career is kind of taking off.
Yeah.
And you're in a commercial.
And he introduced me to my manager at the time, who was like an incredible manager. He manages Jason Derulo now. So like...
Savage Love.
Yeah. And so he like got me in the studio for the first time, and like this... It was all so bound together. It was hard to like separate. But the dude didn't work. Like he like worked at Macy's part-time. Like he had no aspirations outside of what I was doing.
He was working just to be with you.
He was working just because I was complaining that, you know,
well,
that
I mean,
contributed
but this
nothing.
dude, let me understand this correctly.
Yeah.
Homegirl who you fuck up tells you that he has a hookup to make music. He forces you into fucking sex work. You decide to get revenge on girl. You do it. He falls in love with you. You get out of sex work. You get off of meth. You get into this Yahoo commercial, make 15 grand, get picked up by Interscope, and dude is still fucking around. Why is he around still?
He's in my management team. He did it to where
he got himself into it.
To where when I signed my management deal, he was a part of it because he found me.
Right.
And so not only that, but my apartment was in his name.
Right.
My car was in his name.
Which is all like pimpy shit.
It is. Everything that I owned was in his name. And there was no way to leave without losing everything.
And you're bound to him in some kind of weird other way too.
Psychological way.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And we ended up getting pregnant, and he was like, I don't think I can, and that's all I needed to hear. And I got an abortion, but I have bipolar disorder, and it fucked me up. And like, I was sober at the time, and it sent me over the edge in a way that I can't stress enough. And like, abortions are a really sensitive topic for a lot of people, but the one thing I have to say about it is it is not inconsequential. It's not something that you can simply do and not live with for the rest of your life. And it's not something that doesn't have emotional consequences to the point of like, I'm going back to school to get my degree to become an English teacher.
That was the plan?
Well, I mean, I always thought at the end of the day, like I would end up doing something like that. But we just read this book called Play It As It Lays by Joan Didion. It's have you read it?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a very LA novel, and it's incredible. She's an incredible writer, but it's a fucking book about a girl who had an abortion and lost her fucking mind. And like, it's really that deep. And it was a perfect storm. And my best friend at the time, like I was doing pills here and there, like oxycodone. And my best friend at the time did heroin. And so it was available to me. And I jumped off the deep end after that. And I didn't realize that that was the tipping point until I went to rehab and did like a timeline, you know, and I was like, oh, that's when I lost my fucking mind.
So what happens there? Your friend like plugs you into the heroin scene in Los Angeles?
Yeah. I just start ripping and running and showing up missing, and like, I don't give a fuck about this dude or where he thinks I'm at. Like, I'm just like ignoring calls, and you know, just like he doesn't like, I don't give a fuck about him. He is a leech. I want him gone. I feel trapped. I can't get out.
And you kind of probably knew subliminally that if you destroyed yourself, he would want nothing to do with you.
I thought that, but that was not the fucking case. And to the point to where there was nothing I could do that he would walk away from me. It was like a spell was cast on him.
Why do you think so?
I don't know. But it could have been the push-pull of, I don't know.
Codependency.
Maybe.
You rising up, beating him, and then you still being there. He, maybe like he sold his dream down the river of being your manager or something. So he was like, this is the only thing that I can do. Yeah. I'm not letting her go.
Yeah.
This is all I have.
Yeah. There was a real ownership thing.
Yeah.
Weird ownership thing.
So
and
what's your heroin in LA life like?
Oh man. Just,
what years are we talking about?
We're talking about 2010, 11, 12, 13, 2012, 12 and 13, I would say. Because I was in school in 2011 and I wasn't doing heroin, but I did smoke opium once. Like I was still playing around with things.
Where'd you get opium?
Some Lebanese guy. Yeah.
And where were you getting heroin and how were you paying for it?
I was dancing and I was getting heroin from my best friend.
Were you making a shit ton of money dancing?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was making more, if not the same, more than I was making when I was being trafficked. So I was like, this is it. You're your own boss.
Yeah. You show up, you leave.
Yeah.
You can handle those
parameters.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. And it was fucking fun, dude. Fucking you had a ball. Like you're getting paid to be hot and funny. You know what I mean? Like those are the qualifications. Be hot, be funny, be charismatic.
How do you have to be funny though in that situation?
You just personality really went a long way, and it actually like locked in like repeat clientele, which is what you actually wanted
because they're magnetized.
Yeah, they're enamored,
and you're winning.
Yeah. And you have a lot of control over the situation. Instead of you being a victim of it, it's you kind of like, it was more empowering. And I just remember like on a really good night, just being like, the more I made, the more powerful I got. Like the funnier I got, the quicker I got, like the more like it was like an energy that builded, Well,
like, it's also that thing about practice.
Yeah.
The more time you put into something, the more you understand how to do it really well.
Yeah.
And understanding nuances and where you get paid. Yeah. And where you can like seduce somebody and where you can repel somebody and how to do the whole thing.
And seduction is an art. And it's also, it's very powerful. It is. But it's also like creating a fantasy. But making sure that people understand the parameters, because like there had been instances where like somebody left their wife thinking that I was going to be with them, and I made sure that they knew there was no possible way. I never did anything sexual with any of my clients. Like I would dance, that was it. Very, very strict lines, and I made it vocal because I felt there was bad karma from manipulating somebody emotionally that way to make them think that you're in love with them, and then like just be using them for like that. Just wasn't in my character.
But there was like private dancing.
Yeah.
So that's where people would really fall in love with you.
I think they fell in love with my personality. I don't know.
The whole package.
It could have been.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a combination effect, but like you could tell when it was going to happen. I could tell when there was like a lightning strike moment or something. And it was very different than the situation that I was in before. And that's actually how I found my exit route from...
Dude.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Where were you getting the heroin?
From my friend Mel.
You were just buying it from her, and she would go downtown or something? Or she had people?
She had to hook up.
Some Armenians or something?
She would, there's always some Russians. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but she would buy large quantities and she would sell. I had already learned my lesson from that, so I wasn't.
She was dancing too, or just selling?
Yeah, she was escorting actually.
And she ran a profitable enterprise.
Yeah, but hers was more entertainment rather than sex. Like everybody was too fucked up on drugs to do anything.
Right.
So she had a lot of like situations like that. But
so how did you walk away from the dude?
I met somebody else in the strip club. His name was Jeff, and I'll always be grateful to Jeff. I did love Jeff. I did fall in love with him. We got married very quickly, and he got very controlling very fast.
Well, what did you say to the dude though first? You just said, I met somebody, I'm getting married, fuck you, I'm gone.
He knew about him. So I remember it was like our 4th anniversary, if you could call it that. It was the day that we met, whatever. And I was like, do you want to do anything? And he was like, I don't know, my foot kind of hurts. And I was like, okay. And I had already been seeing Jeff as a client at the club. He would come to see me at the club. And I remember one night he was like, I would really like to see you. And I was like, I can't, I have to work. He was like, well, what if I just give you the money that you would have made and we can just go have a drink somewhere? And I was like, a drink, that's it? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, sounds like a good plan, you know? And so he started doing that, like paying me for just company. Yeah. And
which is still fucking with you, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a new kind of spin on an old song.
Yeah, but I felt safer doing that, and that I felt like I had control over it, you know. And so he rescued me a few times. Like my engine blew in my car, and he paid for my new engine. Like, and here's this doofus over here, just like being a leech. And I knew it came down to leaving everything that I had behind. There was a plan in play the entire time. And so the one car that was in his name, which was my car, the engine, something was wrong with the engine. And so I was like, okay, this is where I can get a car in my name. Like, so I went and financed a car for the first time. So I had the car in my name. And then I stopped paying the rent. And I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. And the apartment was in his name. So he's the one that got the eviction on his record. And I just stopped paying the rent. Like I was on my way, like I was doing everything I could to like set myself up slowly to escape. Like I know what like DV victims feel like when they're trying to like store away money, like squirrel away money and like do
That's
it
what
slow.
You were doing.
Yeah. I was preparing my way out, and I happened to meet Jeff. And so dude knew about Jeff and knew that he was, you know, well-to-do. And I remember one night we were out together and he was like, I'm in love with you. And I was like, there's somebody else. And he was like, and you want to be with them? And I was like, no, I don't want to be with them. I'm trapped and I need to get out somehow. And he was all, well, you'll live here, move in with me. And I was like, you know, I'm 22 years old. Like that sounds like a great plan. That's wonderful. Let's do that. And the next day I went and got my dog and my stuff. And, you know, he didn't know where I went. He tried incessantly, tried to block numbers and keep blocking different numbers that he would call me from. But like, I just disappeared. And me and Jeff got married pretty
And dude never went to the club to find you or whatever?
No, I wasn't working anymore.
All right.
Jeff
so you
asked me not to
were
work.
like a housewife now.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't want me working in the club. So
but you're strung out on heroin.
No, I was sober. I was like sober and then would use sometimes. Like I was in a really weird place.
So you never caught a habit in that period, really?
I did, but I didn't. I just kept quitting. Like I would have binges and then I would quit. And I would get Suboxone, I would kick in the shower, and then I'd be good for like a month or two. And then I would have a binge, and then I would kick, and then I would be good. And like I was able to function as like a normal human being for quite a long time. It wasn't until after Jeff and I separated. I left him, and he cheated on me with another stripper, and they actually got married and were together for 7 years. But yeah, he was trying to control my every move, and I just couldn't handle it. And so I ended up leaving him, and he hated me for it. And
he cheated on you, though.
He cheated on me. Yeah. But I was kind of like checked out of the relationship just because
this is freedom, actually.
Yeah.
Finally. After all of these dudes and all of these situations.
Yeah.
But you're not working. You leave Jeff. Dude is way long gone.
Yeah.
Club is gone. Meth is gone. Heroin is here and there. So what is your life going to be at that point?
Yeah. Back to the club for one. And that was just the way that I supported myself. And but I did get really strung out at that point. And that was kind
heroin.
of like heroin and meth. Like I smoked both for quite some time. And then my life was getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually it just was like, oh, this is probably a problem. And I got into the car with this guy. He asked me to give him a ride to go make a drop. And I was like, yeah, sure. Give me $20, for gas. And
you're going to
maybe
give me
a gram, you know what I mean, of heroin. And I was going to drive him to go make a drop. And it was a sting. A sting. So I get arrested. My car gets towed, impounded. I almost got away with it too. I was like, I'm just giving him a ride, but they found a rig in my glove compartment. And
wait, when were you shooting?
I had just started shooting. Literally, probably maybe a month before that.
The tar and the meth both together. Or
together.
Yeah, I did that. Too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun while I did it, while it lasted, but like every time I did it, God would arrest me. So I would always get arrested. Like I never had like a long run, but I would lost my fucking mind. Like I was loopy, like I was not there, like there's track marks all over my arm and I'm like covering it with, there's this Rimmel 24-hour stay makeup and it like, I rubbed it all over my arm so you couldn't see the track marks. And it was just so disturbing and sad. And so getting arrested actually saved my life, but I got out and I ended up finding my way because I don't have a car now. Car's impounded, tons of fucking parking tickets. So to get it out, it's going to be a couple grand and I don't have it. And so I ended up back at this house out in Sunland where Melanie and Z lived out of, and they sold out of there. And it was kind of a trap, but like a nice trap. And I end up there. And this guy was like, do you want to make some money? And I was like, doing what? And he was like, just hanging out. And I was like,
here we go.
I was like, well, I need to get my car out of the impound. So, I guess yes. By the time we got there, nobody was even there. And I knew this client really well, actually. I had known him for years. And
under what circumstance did you know him? From the club?
No.
From the traffic?
He paid... I knew him through Mel, and he just paid for company, and he would pay porn stars in front of him. So he owned a bunch of cash stores around LA. He was like a multi-millionaire, very rich guy addicted to crack. And so he liked having people, he didn't like being alone, and he was very paranoid, and he would get to the point to where he would even like get down on his knees and stick up his hands in surrender because he thought and could see the feds like
in
pointing guns at the window. Yeah. Right. And so we all knew the game. He wasn't there because he got paranoid and he left and went to another hotel with whoever was with him. And so I'm like, well, that was a burn. My friend has a show in Hollywood. I'm going to go to that. Do you guys want to just drop me off there? And he's like, yeah. And so we're going through the light downtown on Western and something. And we're taking this yellow light and a car turns in front of us and we smash into it. And then another car is racing up the turn lane at like 60 miles an hour and hits my door, impacts it 20 inches. I break my back, both my hips. The car catches on fire. The guy gets out and like pulls me through the shattered window.
The multi-millionaire check cashing guy?
No, it was the guy that I went there with.
Okay.
That I had just met like 24 hours before then. He like pulls me out, stands me on my feet, and I walk across 6 lanes of the 6-lane intersection, and I collapsed. And the EMTs show up, and they're like trying to find a fucking vein, and they can't find one. And I have plenty of veins. They must have been really bad at their job. But I'm like, my back. And they did x-rays, but I was on Suboxone. So I was trying to stay clean, and
but you were blocked.
I was blocked. So it didn't matter how much pain medication they gave me.
It wasn't going to get through.
I felt all of that pain. And they're like fighting with me about my back. They're like, your hips are broken, but your back's fine. I'm like, no, the fuck it's not. And I was like laying on my fists because it was like I felt like there was a truck parked on it. There was so much pressure. And they wanted me to sign something because this first day doctor came in, and she was like, oh, it's my first day off my residency. I'm like, you need to get the fuck out of my room. Like, I don't want a first day doctor. And she was going to sew up my face. My face was cut open from here to here under my eyebrow. And she was like, I'm going to do your stitches. I was all, you're not actually. And so she leaves and comes back. She was like, actually, we think it's better if a plastic surgeon does your, I'm like, good call. Good knowing your skill set. That's great. I was a cunt. I was not in a good mood.
Well, you were fucking have everything busted.
So much fucking pain. And you why would you even say that? It's my first day of my residency. Like, you're not sewing up my face? No. My knee? Maybe. My face? No. Absolutely not.
No.
You know? And so I'm like fighting with them about my back, and they did another x-ray, and they're like, yeah, you have a compression fracture to L2. And I was like, I fucking told you. I was not a pleasant patient whatsoever. I know that I wasn't. I was terrible. And they're like, well, we're going to have to do surgery. And I was just like, no, there's got to be another way, because I've already had all this surgery on my leg. And I don't know, like, if it was God that stepped in and like spoke through me, or why I was so defiant. Like, it paid off, because they had me do a standing x-ray. They're like, well, we can do a standing x-ray, and if your ligaments are holding everything in place, then we don't have to do surgery. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And they're like, you're going to have to stand with a walker with 2 broken hips and a broken back. I'm like, I got it. Let's fucking go. And so we did it, and like, luckily dancing, like, I'm like being fit. Everything was in place. It went from an unstable fracture in the paperwork to a stable fracture, and they just put me in like the clamshell or whatever.
Wow.
And yeah, it was one of my mom's like redeeming moments, because there hadn't been a lot of instances where she was there for me, but in this instance she was. She showed up, and they got my car out of the impound and brought me up north to heal, and I stayed with them. And because my life collapsed at that point, but they gave me so many pills that it was like I was already
Slavery.
Strung out. Yeah. So, and they didn't know that. So I was on fentanyl, I was on Dilaudid, I was on Roxy, I was on everything. And so I was like selling my pills to get heroin. Ended up getting arrested there, and getting extradited for the trafficking, the drug trafficking situation that I got caught up in Northern California or Southern California.
Wait, what was that one?
I was when the sting happened.
Right. Oh, when you got picked up for doing the drop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so
that pops up when you're upstate.
Yeah. So I had been keeping that at bay because I had a valid medical concern, you know. I had doctor's notes and stuff and was sending it to the court, but you have to do that fairly frequently. And eventually I got so strung out that I wasn't sending anything to the court anymore. And so they put a warrant out for my arrest. And so when I was like living in this trap, like this house that we stole, it was like abandoned, but not abandoned. Like it was like a nice house that the owner died and the kids lived in like Tennessee or something. And so we just kind of took it over and like turned the power on and lived there for free. Until it turned into like a trap. How bad did it get? It got bad. Yeah. There was a lot of... What turns a home into a trap house? Just druggies going in and out constantly. And you weren't selling? No, I wasn't selling. But you had the house. But I had the house. And I let people sell out of there for profit. And right. Yeah. Yeah, or I'd let people, whatever, if they cleaned, they could stay the night or whatever the case was.
You'd barter the home for whatever you needed.
Yeah. And so eventually I get arrested there, and like that one was a fucking mess. And like for some reason I thought it was a good idea to like, they tried to arrest me, and he was like, I knew that he was a male cop, so he couldn't, this is how far gone I was. He couldn't like touch me if I didn't have any clothes on, so I started to get naked.
You got naked just so you could.
Yes. But I was wearing like a onesie, and I started to, and he was like, put your clothes on. And I was like, fuck, that didn't work. So I put my clothes on, and he arrested me, and then I like pretended to faint. Okay. And then he was like, get up.
You just did not want to get arrested.
I did not. I was trying everything possible, but I was going to jail, and I knew I was going to get extradited. So I ended up getting extradited, and then the one number that I could remember was dude. And I got out.
Trafficker, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember calling, and I was like, you fucking owe me. And he was like, I'll be there. And he came and picked me up. And I remember I was staying in like, you can get a voucher if you're homeless to stay in like really shitty motels. So I was getting vouchers to stay in motels. I didn't have my car. My car was up north still. And I was just so strung out. And I remember we were at the train station. He had a girlfriend, and I didn't know about her or anything, but she was gorgeous, stunning girl. And I'm like strung out, like fucking dreads in my hair, track marks all over my arm. I look like a fucking disaster. And like, she sees us together at the bus station or at the train station. And she comes up to me, and she's like scream crying. And she's like, why did you come back? And I was like, who the fuck is this?
She knew exactly who you were.
Exactly who I was.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck are you? You know? And she was like, clinging to him, and he's like pushing her off of him, and I'm like watching this happen. She's like, why did you come back? And I was like, that seems like a conversation between you and him. Like, I'm not,
he did his job.
I'm not gonna
I'm not fighting again for him.
No. And so she was like losing her mind, and like I realized, like, I was like, oh fuck, like why he would want to be with me over this, you know, seemingly normal, sweet, beautiful, wonderful girl. She did seem have all those qualities, stunning. And
well, he pimped you out and got pimped out in the end. He got his
karma.
Yes,
he got his karma for sure. Yeah, he almost killed himself from the reports of, you know.
So what happens to you at that point?
I get an apartment, I get my car back, and I'm dancing part-time, but I'm just doing drugs the entire time. Like, I keep trying to quit. I keep getting Suboxone and trying to quit, but within 5 days, I'm back at my dealer's door. And I was just this vicious cycle for like a year, living in a back apartment over on Heliotrope. And eventually I was just like, oh, I think I need fucking help. Like, I don't think I can quit on my own.
What's the thing, do you think, that gives you that thought? Because you've run really hard, basically your whole life. You've been in every fucking terrifying situation. You've mastered your reality only to lose it to drugs again. To lose it to these accidents. You know, those accidents. You had 2 fucking near-death experiences. You know, worse than most any accident I've ever heard of.
Catastrophic.
So you're in an apartment, you got your car, you're dancing, and what is the straw that says, I need to get some help?
It had been a year and I couldn't quit. Like, I had been actively trying to quit for a year, and I was looking back on my life, and it was like heroin on the nightstand and like needles, and looking at myself in the mirror. It was seeing I was a shell of a person. I probably weighed 120 pounds. I weigh 170 now, if that's any. I'm size 6, you know, like I'm a big girl. So I was like
a skeleton.
Skin and bones, sunken in. My hair was falling out. And I was just had soul rot and decay. And I knew that it was like a light bulb moment, because when I first got out and I got back out to LA, I was running the streets before I got my apartment. And I remember like going to the methadone clinic because I didn't have any money yet. I didn't have my car. Like,
where
it was
did
like
you go?
On Pico and La Brea. There in Inglewood.
I was on the methadone program in LA on Beverly.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? By
No.
downtown LA.
I never went there. I went to the one on Pico.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's a couple.
We're methadone brethren.
Yeah. And but I remember you couldn't nod in the clinic. You know, they didn't let you.
They didn't have that rule at our clinic.
They didn't?
No, they sold drugs outside our clinic.
Oh, man. I went to the wrong clinic.
Yeah.
So I went out to the bus stop, and I remember I had a pack of cigarettes, and I like nodded out, and somebody stole my cigarettes, and I was super pissed. But I wake up because this guy's like, hey. And I'm like, what? You know, and snap out of it. And he's like, do you want help? And I was like, no. And like, I'll never forget that, because in my mind, I'm homeless, living like from hotel room to hotel room of some addict that I can stay with, and doing, you know, methadone because I can't afford heroin, and sleeping on a fucking bus bench.
Hold up.
This is right when I got back to LA.
You weren't dancing?
No, I didn't have a car yet. I had to go back and get my car from Northern California. So, that accident, I got a settlement from that accident. So before I got the settlement, I was in LA, basically homeless, and trying to figure out like how to get my next fix. And
dude says, do you want help? And you say, no, thank you.
No. I said no. And I literally don't think that help even, like, I didn't think I had a problem, which is fucking insane. That's insane.
You weren't done.
No, I wasn't done.
You weren't done. You might have, did you really not think you had a problem, or were you just not done?
It wasn't a problem. I kept being able to get high, and that's the only thing I cared about. It's the only thing I thought about. It was the only, like, my only goal in life was to get high.
Because I used forever.
Yeah.
I was on methadone forever. I knew I had a fucking problem.
Yeah.
But I wasn't done. I didn't want to get help.
Yeah.
And I might have gone for help many, many times, but I didn't want to stop using.
Yeah.
You know, but you were like, I don't even have a fucking problem.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
All right.
Like, I'm fine.
Right.
This is fine.
Well, I think in your situation, you're straight up medicating in the craziest trauma that anybody's medicated.
Yeah.
We're right there.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you worse than anybody else.
Yeah.
But right in this horrible trauma thing.
Yeah. And I think because of the way that I was raised, and like the things that were normalized for me, that wasn't that far away from it. Does that make sense? Like, the craziest shit that you could go through was like a Tuesday for me. And so me being in this situation and like living, this life, it was normalized by seeing other people doing it growing up, and it being acceptable and accepted in society. And so I knew that it wasn't like my best. I tasted that too, but it wasn't like
your bottom.
It wasn't my bottom. You know, my bottom was an emotional, spiritual bottom. It was looking at myself in the mirror. So it was, once I got that apartment, I got the settlement, I got my car back from Northern California, and I started dancing again, but I had to wear sleeves, gloves, so that I could hide my track marks, and that didn't feel good. And I had a few incidences, like run-ins with the law, where I just got by the skin of my teeth and by not telling on myself, basically. But I was making it to the club less and less, and I was doing drugs more and more. And of course, like, if you're not making money and you're doing more drugs, like, something's gonna off balance. Totally. So I would try to quit, and I kicked probably, I want to say, out of the 12 months of that year, I spent at least 4 of them withdrawing, because I was genuinely trying to quit. And
I can totally relate.
I could not do it on my own.
Me neither.
And I got to this point where I was so fucked up, and I was like bawling my eyes out, in the bathroom, because you're always in a fucking bathroom. And I like saw myself in the mirror, and I just had like this come to Jesus moment. And I walk out, and there's a sermon on the TV. And it's this like, not Billy Graham, but one of those guys, you know, and he's preaching. He's like, there's somebody there in a black t-shirt, and this is the situation, and they will be broken free from the chains of addiction. Send $47 to this address. Sow a seed of faith. And I'm like, I'm all of the things that he's describing. And some of them are not like broad details. And like, I just felt this conviction in my soul. And mind you, I had called like 20 treatment centers, and they all hung up in my face because I didn't have insurance. And I remember the next morning it was like 4 a.m. So within the next hour or two, I went to 7-Eleven and I got a money order for $47, and I wrote sobriety on the lower right corner.
Oh my God.
And I bought it one envelope and one stamp, and I put it in the mailbox. And within 72 hours, I was accepted into a treatment facility.
Where did you try to go?
I got a scholarship to Step House Recovery in Orange County.
You had just turned the other dude down on the street who wanted to get you out.
This was probably that was before I got my apartment. And I was in that apartment for a year. So this was from 24 to 26. I got in the accident in 24. I was in 2013, December 2nd, 2013. I got into the accident. I was ripping and running in Red Bluff, my hometown, until May. So about 5 months in deep addiction there. Got arrested, got out, was kind of like running around in LA on the streets for a few months, and then got my settlement, got a part of my settlement, got my car back, got an apartment, was dancing. And then it was April 1st, 2015 was when I went to rehab. So there was like a year of
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, abusing in between that.
You're like, I will give faith, or I will be willing to take this chance. This guy's saying send $47. Fuck it. Were you religious at all? Were you like, this guy's got the message? Was that a piece, or were you just like, this is something?
God was giving me a chance.
And you felt like this dude on the TV was talking to you through God.
To me specifically.
Through God.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you send the money. And then you call a fucking treatment and you say, I'm fucked.
My dad was getting out of rehab, and he goes, hey, I think this place will give you a scholarship. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, for free? And he was like, yeah. And they were doing insurance at the time, where they get you insurance.
Yeah.
And
you had insurance?
No, they would get it for you as an employee.
Right.
You know? And so
they would hire you, get you insurance, and then use the insurance to treat you.
Like body brokering.
I think I'm the only person who thinks that. I think that's good.
I think it's good too. But the insurance companies don't like it, and that's why it's a problem.
But I think it's good.
As long as you're not paying people to relapse and like go back into detox, that's grimy as fuck.
That's where it's not good.
But like, I was so grateful that they
gave you the chance.
Yeah, it gave me a chance. And so, and I did it, and I went, and I was fucking, that person who went to rehab and it stuck, and for 3 years, I was completely sober. And
did you do program or no program?
I did do program at first. Yeah. And I'll say like, I really, really appreciated the program when I relapsed, and, it was like a star fell from the sky, and like I was not welcomed back in the way that you think that it's supposed to be.
No, it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, I was very much like ostracized, but like out of fear, I think.
It's complicated.
It changed the way that I view the program, and I think that it's still wholly like, principles above personalities, right?
Spiritual principles is undeniable,
right?
But you might go to some spot where you relapse and they don't treat you well.
Yeah,
like that happens because people fail all the time.
Yeah,
so it's the most
common thing for an addict to do.
Right. It's like birds fly and addicts fucking use. So you relapse on what?
Alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, I could do this.
Yeah, and I did for a long time, and so I was working in the clubs again. I think that's where it kind of went south because I started selling again.
Selling what?
Coke. But I was more of like a concierge. And
what's the difference between being a dealer and a concierge?
I didn't offer it, but if it was asked for, I knew where to get it.
Right.
And I would provide it.
You'd
and
like
I knew
middleman.
that it benefited me because the more they did, the more loose they were with their pockets. You know what I mean? And so
It gave you more value as an entertainer,
yeah.
we'll say.
And I was fun to party with. You know what I mean? And so there ended up being a sting at the club.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And so I got swept up in that, and that was it for me in dancing. And I did 11 days, got bailed out. They had tacked like double bail onto my bail because I wouldn't talk to them. They were like trying to
give people
give information. I remember they like pulled me out. It must have been his fucking first day on the job because he wasn't convincing at all, you know. And he's like asking all these questions. I was like, what am I even being charged with? You know, you guys haven't told me what my charges are. You haven't Mirandized me. You haven't offered me to have an attorney. Like, what's going on? I don't even know what my charges are. And he was like, well, if I tell you what you're here for, will you talk to me? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you're here for drug trafficking. And I was like, oh, well,
I'm not talking.
Sounds like I'm going to need a lawyer.
Yeah.
And he was like, you just told me you were going to talk to me. And I was like, yeah, well, you know.
You did talk to them. You said I need a lawyer.
Yeah, I said I needed a lawyer.
Yeah.
And he goes, I just took you out of that cell. And I was like, and you're going to put me right back in it. And he was like, whatever, you're probably going to take a plea deal anyways. And I was like,
hopefully.
Probably, you know, like probably will. But he was very irritated that I wouldn't talk to him. So my bail was $180,000 instead of $90,000, which is what it should have been. And so they finally took off the other $90,000 and my bail was, you know, $9,000 or something like that. So at that point I got bailed out. And it was 2 days before my court date where I would have to go and plea. And I had a good lawyer, thank God. And I showed up and they offered me a joint suspension, 5-year joint suspension. And my lawyer was like, take it. I was like, I was gonna, you know, that's like a fucking best case scenario. I can keep my nose clean. And literally like it was 2 months before the world shut down with COVID. And I always joke that I got out of jail to get on house arrest.
What's better though?
We were all on house arrest. We were all in pandemic land.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so as long as I didn't get in trouble for 3 years, then I would be fine. They'd expunge my record and everything like that. So at that point, I just stopped using again. You know what I mean?
So what did you? No dancing, but COVID happened anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and that ended your dancing more than anything else.
No. That experience, the sting did. I knew that was God being like, no,
this is done.
This is done, and I shut that door and never went back.
And then you just stopped using. And you didn't go back to treatment. You didn't go to program.
No.
And so what are you doing to stay sober?
Yeah, I mean, staying sober isn't my goal. My goal is to live each day as the best me that I possibly can. Because when I focus too much on staying sober, I don't even count days. Like I have had so many times of like trying to get sober, like 30, 60, 90 failed, 30, 60, 90 failed, 30, 60, like, you know how many times I've had to raise my hand and say that I've given away my, like, it's just belittling and demeaning to me at that point. Like, this is not helping me. This is actually hurting me. And I don't think that part's talked about enough to where if I were to have a drink tomorrow, like I wouldn't think much of it. I would just get back on the train. I have bipolar disorder as well. So there have been times where I've had relapses in episodes, manic episodes that I don't think I had a lot of control over my decision making. I was not in the right
last 3 years,
mind.
you mean.
Yeah. And so
well, the most important thing I think is that nobody can judge your recovery or your life.
No.
It's up to you
Yeah.
how you want to live. I'm more interested in like for people out there who come from fucking trauma,
Yeah.
come from poverty, come from these kinds of things, you've managed to cobble together a better situation.
Much better.
So how do you do that?
You never fucking give up. And you have a goal in mind. Like, I had to have something that I was working towards. I had to have a dream that was bigger than me. I had to realize the vision that was inside my head. And I've always been a very visionary. Like, I'm like, if anybody can do it, I can do it. And maybe I can't do it to the level that, you know, maybe a global mega superstar.
But maybe you
but
can.
I can make something out of
Dude,
myself.
You don't know what you. I mean, like, you can do.
Well, you
anything.
know what I mean.
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
Staying like letting humility play a part in it, and just being like, you shoot for the moon, you end up among the stars, kind of situation. Like, if I had tried less, I would be less. Like, it's hard to fucking be successful. Like, it's not easy. You know what I mean? So if you're not putting forth 1,000% of your effort towards a goal or trying to make something, create something for yourself, you know, there's a lot of ups and downs and scenic routes and unplanned, you know, blips, and it's like getting into a car accident or my best friend dying fucking threw me off for a year and a half. Like, there's going to be life that happens in the interim of what it is that you're trying to pursue, but you have to keep your eye on the prize.
Eyes on the prize.
You have to keep your eye on the prize, and you have to keep fucking going no matter what. No matter what.
And even though you're not in program,
Yeah.
you have purpose. You have a higher power.
Yeah.
You have spirituality. You have all of the components.
Yeah.
You're just not in the fellowship.
Right.
And I think it's really important that people know that there's so many ways out.
Yeah.
And that one is not better than another one.
Right.
But I also want to say to you, you should go back to a meeting because you might
I do
love it.
actually sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, I go every once in a while because I have friends that are in the program, and sometimes I'll go with them. I have a book club that I do with girls. They're all from the program, and a couple of my best friends I met in the program, and they're the most beautiful people I've ever met in my fucking life, and I'm so blessed to know them. And they've loved me through every version of myself and all my mistakes and all of my stumbling and all of my high achievements and
low bottoms.
Everywhere in between. They've loved me, the person. I have a saying, and it's, I love you, not what you do. So no matter what it is that you do in your life, you're still the person that I love. I'm going to walk through with you, because if you do fall, you're going to need my hand to help you back up. Like, that's not when we abandon people. That's not when we let people go. That's like somebody having a human experience, you know, like, how human of me, like, how dare I, be this human being. So I think that there's a lot of rigidity in the program.
Can be.
And there can be. There's also a lot of really, really beautiful, understanding, wonderful people, like some of the best people I've ever met in my life in the program. And that's, I think, comes with everything that we know. Like, I speak highly about the program in general because it helped me and it saved my life.
And you know it helps other people.
Helps other people.
I know that I don't think I would have had spiritual principles as easily without it.
Right.
That's what it did for me.
Okay.
And also, I needed the fucking, like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah, I needed that too.
I needed that structure.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, you know, I love your story, and I'm really, really grateful that you came and spent the time with me to tell it.
Thank you.
And like, I know it's like, you don't know me, and for some way, shape, or form, you don't even know Dopey. I can't even believe that. That hurts. But you gave us so much time, and I think like it was really a beautiful experience.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And people should know they can get your book, Gutter Kids.
Gutter Kid, not plural. Yeah.
Gutter Kid
by Keta Loren.
By Keta Loren on Amazon. Or where else can they get it?
Everywhere. Anywhere that you can order books
When
online.
did you write the book?
I wrote the book when I was living in Peru in 2021.
What were you doing in Peru?
Eat, Pray, Love.
Just
Eat,
checking
Pray,
it
Love.
out?
Was leaving the music industry. I think I was having a career change and I just needed something different. And I was kind of blowing up on TikTok
How
at the
did that
time.
happen? What did you do to blow up?
Just started making motivational content. And it was things that I was having to tell myself. I was going through a really, really crazy like healing season, and like having to cut people out of my life, and like be very, very strict with myself and like my principles. I was very into, waking up in the morning, prayer, meditation, breath work, gyms, like just a strict regimen to be the best, optimize myself. Like I needed to see if I could rewire my nervous system, because it deemed everything a threat, because of the trauma that I had experienced. And I had to figure out a way to stop having fucking manic episodes, and so I would do that through diet, exercise, vitamins, breath work, meditation, therapy, EMDR, and then I ended up going on a journey with psilocybin treatment and ayahuasca treatment as well. And so that's why it's like fluid for me, like, because
how did those do you?
it saved my life. I did ketamine therapy as well. Did not take to it. Didn't work for me. Felt like I was getting high and there was no benefit. And so I quit doing that one. But psilocybin therapy saved my life. I was actually suicidal. And
how do they give the psilocybins?
It's administered in like a group setting, and there's a shaman.
So where in Peru? Mm-hmm. So do they put on like the Allman Brothers and dole out the mushrooms, or they don't do that?
They actually play live instruments and
they
stuff.
play like the pan flute, the Peruvian pan flute.
They play drums.
They don't play whip and post on the pan flute.
I don't know what that is.
It's the Allman Brothers.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Nope, they probably didn't play that.
You don't need to know. You're young.
There are some flutes involved,
So
but
you
really,
trip out. I'm just making stupid jokes. You trip out in Peru with this group, and the shaman heals you in the psychedelic journey.
I think it was a combination effect. I don't know if the shaman healed me, but he definitely guided the journey.
So tell me about it. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few, and so it would just be a group of people that were all kind of like, I had to be careful not to get too involved, because I think there were definitely people who were just doing it just to fucking do it and like to get high, and like they got addicted to that, and like that could be that could definitely be a road that would be easy to travel down. But it's a very intelligent drug. It's all drugs are spiritual. They all have an attachment to them in some way. Like meth feels demonic, like crack is paranoia, weed feels spiritual in a different way. There's different energies or entities or whatever the case is attached. Sure. And psilocybin is very open and intelligent.
I've done tons of psilocybin. I've just never done it in a healing, like structured spiritual way. And I'm kind of curious, like, what do they do? Like, what
they just guide you through it. So,
and then you have the trip, whatever trip you're going to have.
Yeah. And then you kind of like have your realizations, you journal about it. With the ayahuasca, I did it with the Hootie Cootie tribe from Brazil. They came in, they had a ceremony, like there was like chicks screaming and stuff. I was like, oh my God, shut up. Like,
is it a lot
it's not that bad.
Is it a lot of vomiting?
So I didn't vomit, but I felt like shit. And I was like, maybe I should make myself throw up, because I feel like, and as soon as I expelled it, I felt 1,000 times better. And then I started having like some visions and stuff. So
what did you learn in those experiences?
Oh man, my mom was brought down in a bubble. I learned so much, but really what it was almost like a reset for my brain, to where I could access joy, I could access peace, I could access tranquility, I could access anything but depression. Like my depression was so severe, and the duration of it was almost a year, you know what I mean? And so
this
it's not
really
the intensity of it, it's the duration of it that you feel like it's never going to end, and maybe you should end it, And
then these psychedelic treatments are like a path out of this deep depression.
100% snap me out of it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing, because everybody should get help wherever they can get it.
Yeah. Well, I just did an episode where we were talking about it, and I was like, because I have a friend who's from the book club. Her name's Ashley. Shout out Ashley. And, she was suicidally depressed, and she relapsed and drank instead of killing herself. And I was like, good. Like if it's drink or die, drink,
100%.
dude, 100%. And I was like, that's been your experience. That's definitely been my experience because I was 100% sober when I went on this journey. And I was like, if that's deemed a relapse, then
So
whatever. At least I'm not dead. I don't care.
It's not about that. It's about quality of life.
Yes.
And living with yourself.
Exactly.
And having a future.
Exactly.
Is there anything you want to say that you didn't say? What's your podcast called again?
It's called Straight Jacket Podcast, STRAIT Jacket Podcast. And then, my regular social media is Keta Loren, KETALOREN on TikTok. And then I am Keta Loren on Instagrams. And is there anything I want to say that I didn't say?
Did you have the best time of your life with me?
I did. It's been a great episode.
Yeah.
You're easy to talk to. You're very open and you create a safe space. So that's,
you felt safe.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
That's like the most important thing is creating like a safe space, a safe, comfortable space.
The most important thing is that we can connect.
Yep.
And that you can tell your story and that the audience can receive it. And that for me, it was like, I really thought it was really powerful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Right on.